What is up, everyone, my OMI homies, and welcome to episode 25. I cannot believe we've done 25 episodes so far of OMI is my homie. And what an awesome episode to cover some epic announcements that have been made by VeVe and by Komi. So what are we going to talk about today? Obviously, VeVe just announced a new co-CEO. So we're definitely going to cover that and what that entails, the background of this co-CEO, what are his strengths and how we can build, how VeVe can build upon that and kind of grow the company and improve it. Public OMIto NFT beta is out. So we're definitely going to be talking a lot about that, what that means, what people are seeing, their experience so far, my experience so far, anyone else's. Let's see, the new phygital stamp collaboration. That's a big deal. I'm like super excited to talk about that. Animated comics, that's been coming up quite a bit. So we're going to talk about other companies that might be doing that, why VeVe hasn't, and if it's possible, and what shape or form would that take? Uptober, what's happening? It's not looking good so far. And let's see some of the other things we got. Look, October is here, spooky month. Where are all the spooky drops? What's happening there? Speculation on that. The new MCP breakdown. Zuckerberg's the glasses from Meta. Look, there's so much more to cover there. So before I get any more into it, I have to bring on my epic co-hosts with me today, Crypto Rain and the Real Randy Chavez. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about the topics. I didn't even get into some of the other topics that we're definitely going to try to get to. But the first one I wanted to break down. Well, let's kind of shout out who's here so far. Who we seeing? Ian, what's up? I have not seen Alibaba's VR, but we're going to have to talk about that when we talk about Meta glasses. Let's see. Wait, what just happened? We got Vlad saying, "When OMI Moon, I'm ready." We are ready. Potential Human. Shout out Potential Human. Good to see ya. We got Energy in the house. Devo Kyle. Look, I'm excited. We got Booth, VeVe Zombie, Crypto Cosmo. What up?
Yeah.
Bolshevik. Oh, look at this. I mean, we got like a shout out, personal shout out to the doc. Appreciate that. Bill Gardner says 7th. Which is funny because you always get people who are like, I'm the first to comment, I'm the second to comment. We never get someone who's stoked in announcing that they are the 7th. So shout out to you. Omar, Chago. Wes says it's Downtober. That's
I love Wes's optimism.
I know. Kumo, what's up? Double Quill, shout out to you. Echoes, what up, fam? The Arcturus, Ed Vasquez. Brock till payday. I like that. I like that name actually. Iron Man. Kumo again saying second day of October. It's not looking so good. Jason Penna. I like Jason, man. Jason's been popping up a lot. I started seeing him a lot more in he just recently joined Crypto Rain's Telegram channel, if I'm not mistaken. So I've seen him comment a few times there. And then Planet Vampire. So shout out to all you guys. And Dean Tech. So hey, gentlemen, VeVe recently announced this co-CEO. So I would love to get your guys' thoughts on like why they did that. Why do they have a co-CEO? Who he is, any background on him, right? And the strengths that he could potentially bring to VeVe. And then he mentioned that he had shares, right? But he didn't say shares in what. So can we talk about that a little bit more? I'd love to get your thoughts. And either one of you want to jump in and go first. I'm going to go dark for a second here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Randy.
Cool. So this stems, I don't want to say this was an issue, but I guess it became a little bit of an issue as time has gone on. Every time I would talk to David, and obviously, to be polite, like, hey, how are you? You don't want to just go into the like blah, 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 like when AJ says in Fairly Odd Parents, doesn't anyone say goodbye anymore? He'll always say like, good, I'm here meeting this executive of this license, or I'm here meeting this executive of this company. And I understand that that is his strength, and you have to lean into that because that's what separates you from the rest of the companies. But if you're always traveling and if you're always meeting and you're always doing this, that really doesn't give you any chance to really run the company. It gives you a chance to onboard more people, which is great. That's what you need. Again, that's what separates us from the rest. But it doesn't really give the chance to put out the day-to-day fires, do the day-to-day monotonous of doing really the chores of the business, which a lot of times business owners, they don't really work on the problems that they want to work on. They just work on the problems that they have to work on, putting out fires, or else the company, spells bad news. So doing this will leave David to be able to do that without having to, okay, I'm being up in the air for, 3-4 hours. Then suddenly you're bombarded with like 100 emails because you can't, whatever it is. This will leave David to put his mind 100% at work on those licenses and on these other companies. Because again, you could be in the middle of something really important, or you could have this day where and forget days off. You can't have that. If any of the executives of Disney calls, or Marvel, or Lamborghini, like you have to take that call. Like you have to get back to them at some point. You can't just let them go for 3 days. So yeah, now that he can focus on that, and this CEO, which is he specializes in growing customers. This is insanely bullish. I don't know what he means by shares. I'll ask him that in a couple of weeks when he comes on. But that's kind of my opinion for this. Very, very bullish. How about you, Rain?
Yeah, a lot of times the people who start the company, a lot of times there's people that are good at different things. Now, David Yu is one of the best in the world at getting licenses and going and making those friendships and long-term partnerships. And that involves a lot of travel. So he's always traveling. So a co-CEO or somebody there like at the office and able to quickly turn around things. Because I imagine, I don't know how David's been keeping up with his schedule and getting things done. That's incredible. When I'm traveling, I'm way less effective on all my other tasks, and everyone is for the most part. So that's good news for the company to be able to set up to grow tremendously and get more workflow done so it doesn't bottleneck. So I like that a lot. I think that's bullish. I think VeVe's well positioned for this coming bull market. I'm excited. They're making really good moves. They're very focused on what they're doing. And I know the OMI token's been way down and people panic about that. And oh my gosh, it's going down tremendously. That's normal for bear markets. And it's normal for a narrative that hasn't yet pumped. I mean, flow's been going down. A lot of the things in the narrative, Bored Ape, the ape token has been going down. They kind of run simultaneously. And so it's not out of the norm for it not to be doing well yet. So some people do make the mistake of thinking it hasn't done well yet, so it's never going to do well. I think so. I think this is bullish. We've seen a little bit of movement in OMI. We can talk about that later. But I think the community is excited about this new development because I do think it'll help VeVe really push forward into the future.
Per reach. And Doc, you're back.
Yeah. Just to kind of piggyback off that, I like, so certain companies will have a president and they will have a separate CEO, right? And those individuals will have different roles in the company depending on the structure of the company. I think it makes perfect sense, honestly, whether you want to call him a co-CEO or the president, but basically kind of like what Randy was saying, someone to do the day-to-day decision making. Sometimes, it can get so hard if David is constantly out there, because what he does best is really connecting with those brands. I've seen him in action. I've seen him was at San Diego Comic-Con at Mr. MC1's VeVe fan party, and David was there talking to an artist, and I was just listening to him, and he was just crushing it for the pitch, man. He's got that down, and the artist, who's a big artist, by the way, was just listening very intently to that, and if he's constantly doing that and constantly having to pick up the phone and do that, it can be very difficult to make those day-to-day decisions And I'm wondering if that's what some of the issues were with some of the stalls on things. It's just like one person can only do so much. And so I love that they brought on this co-CEO, and especially his background, right? Like he's coming from working for Binance. So just the global exposure there as he's working with a global company and building that out, right? And just the connections he's made in the space has to be so beneficial in a lot of different ways, but especially for the crypto side of things with OMI. I think that he can offer some substantial insight into things, like how Binance works, how the exchange work, like all of those things. And if he doesn't, he's got connections to people who do know, and he can call them up and ask them. So a lot of just added value from his background coming on to the VeVe C-suite, and I'd love to see that. So super stoked to see that. So people keep saying COO. No, he's the co-CEO.
I would like to address that as well. People are making a big deal about titles. Elon Musk made in his I think most recent or one of the recent SEC filings that he had for Twitter, like he put his title as like chief twit or something. Like, so a lot of these things, I don't want to say they don't matter, but a lot of like sometimes they don't matter. But yeah, no, he is co-CEO. I don't know why people maybe it's FUD, maybe it's just a gross misunderstanding of this. People just think that Dan is like gone. It's like, what happened to Dan? Like, he's in the video. Like, I don't understand that. Anyway, no, he's still there. There's a very specific reason why Ben is this position. But as far as people saying like what the title is, again, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's don't read too much into it, is what I'm saying.
Wait, I'm trying to understand, like...
Wait, you just told the VeVe community not to read too much into it?
Yeah. That's not going to happen, by the way, Randy. They read into every little thing. But, like, I mean, I'm looking at, like, what Jason Pena... Is it Jason Pena? That's what I want to
say. I think it's Pena. Yeah.
Pena. I want to say Pena. There's no Enya there. So, Jason, tell me. You got to tell me. Anyways, he says, oh, wait. I got the wrong one. That's funny, though. That's funny. This is the one I meant to pull up. David could have easily named Ben COO. Co-CEO is mad intentional.
Oh, right? We already have a COO, which is Dan. So.
Yeah, they already have a COO, right? So, but he could have been named president. So, like, I do think that there is some intention in naming him co-CEO, where he's sharing the responsibilities of what. So typically, what will happen is, you'll have a title, and that title will have like a job description, right? What's this job supposed to entail? And they'll have this huge list. And so sometimes they might break that out and say, hey, we're going to take half of this and we're going to give it to the president. Or if they want, they can just say, listen, we're going to have a co-CEO, and both of these roles together are going to complete the job description here, right? So I do think that it's intentional in basically saying, like, hey, I mean, he is going to be calling serious shots, right, going forward. So anyways, super excited to see where this leads. And he's already been super engaged with the community. I think he's excited to get out there. He's going to be on Randy's channel, you say next Wednesday?
Not next week. It'll be the 15th. So it'll be a week from next. So 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It'll be a week from next week.
It'll be on the 15th. Yeah. Mark it in your calendars.
If you think about the CEO title, right? So say he's needing to reach out to exchanges and maybe say he's talking to Binance or he's talking to Coinbase or he's talking to whatever exchange, right? It's helpful to be like, okay, you're talking to the CEO. And then as David is making big deals with licenses, right? They want to know that they're making, they're talking to a person that can make decisions. So I think having the co-CEO, they both have the CEO title, probably helpful. And it's also helpful that David could focus on licenses, which is the majority. If you're going to have a digital collectible site, getting licenses is everything about your success. But then having somebody that can be getting all these other things done and also have the CEO title, that makes sense to me. Generally, I wouldn't say that makes sense in a lot of businesses. This one, it makes sense.
Yeah, so Potential Human says, co-CEO introduces the question, how long will David remain? David gets to do what he loves most, which may not be CEO in the future. Well, I'll say this: if part of the CEO role is to go out and gather additional IP, he could be co-CEO forever, right? Because I think that's what he's good at. That's what he's passionate about, is talking to these companies and bringing them into the digital age, which we're at. We're really hitting that. I mean, and we're still at the beginning stages of it, but this is where it's headed. This is truly where it's headed, and I think that David is showing them the vision there. And as we're getting, the House Financial Committee grilling the SEC chairman, right, and some of the directors, and just asking these questions and trying to get clarity, like we're starting to see movement where lawmakers are like, we've got to start doing something about this, because they're seeing that it's not going away. Crypto's not going away. NFTs aren't going away. And they're seeing this as a form of revenue potential, right, which is a big deal for any country. And so just formulating rules and regulations around that. But like as that gets more and more clear, there's going to be more and more companies who just understand the benefit of this, because instead of having to print toys, right, these physical toys, and all of the costs that, with tariffs, and I mean, there's so many different things, taxes that are associated with running like a global business, like a toy business. You can do that digitally, and get money into perpetuity, like off of royalties. I mean, like this is massive. And I think that companies are starting to see the light there. So to see David, I think that he could do this into perpetuity if he wants. Now, like the nice thing, like Potential Human though points out, is at some point, like David could teach someone else to do that, and maybe Ben steps into the full CEO role, and then they just have like an IP, AVP or something, right? Or SVP or something like that. So, anyways, but I'm loving some of these comments you got. I love golf. The glasses already on. He likes your jacket, Randy. Apparently, I got to step up my game so I can get golf to comment on something I'm wearing. Must not be a Messi fan. But so I wanted to hit this real quick before we get into our other topics. But AM says, can you guys explain the tokenomics moving forward? How many coins are now circulating, and how are we burning them? Do you want me to take that, or do one of you guys want to take that?
Yeah, I got it. Relatively simple once explained. There's 310 billion right now in the circulating supply. That's all that there will ever be. There is a little question of that. Like, there's supposed to be 5.5 billion that the team has said they would have burned in the past. They have yet to burn that. As far as I know, that is still in the pipeline somewhere down the line. They just obviously have other stuff to focus on first. So if you want to cross off 5.5 billion for that, you can. I would say don't count your chickens before they hatch. Wait until they actually do it before you count that gone. And then who knows how much of the business dev wallet they'll actually keep, how much they'll do for other things. But how we're going to be burning them outside of VeVe doing that specific burn is going to be by the user. Every time you go in and you pay for something or sell something over on the Stacker app, there'll be like a 2% fee or a 2.5% fee that Stacker uses, a portion of that which goes to the burn. I think they did about 2.5 million OMI burn yesterday. They did 4 million, but like 1.5 million of that was from like all the beta testing. But yesterday, everyone hit the ground running. So from that's where they're going to use the burn.
So I just want to clarify something you said, though, and I think it's important for people to understand the way they structured the tokenomics for the burn specifically is that the seller themselves is paying that 2% burn fee. And why that's important is basically the seller is the one who is initiating and saying, with these tokens, I am initiating the action of 2% of these tokens getting burned when the sale takes place in OMI. And so it's the consumer themselves who own the tokens who are initiating that burn by buying the collectible on Stacker. So that's a very important distinction for the SEC and that based on the efforts of others prong of the Howey test. What's that, Randy?
If I'm not mistaken, I think that was on the buyer. I don't think that's the...
Oh, did I say the seller? Did I say the seller?
Yeah.
I meant the buyer. Sorry, the buyer is the one with the tokens. Sorry, not the seller. The buyer.
Yeah.
The buyer's the
that's
one
just the buy fee because if it's from the seller, they're essentially like forced to do that when selling. and that
it's
makes
the
it
buyer
where
for sure. I
yeah,
misspoke. Like I mixed it too because as I was talking, I was saying they're initiating the token burn because they have the tokens. Only the buyer would have the token. So it's the buyer who, when they're buying, are willing to initiate that burn. So thank you for correcting me in how I spoke. But yes, it's the buyer that is initiating that burn, which is awesome. So hopefully that answered your question there. Yeah, perfect. So here's a quick question just to follow up on this topic. When should we expect CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko to update OMI's supply levels? I thought CoinGecko actually had that.
well, they have it as their total supply right now, but they still have the max supply at 750 billion. I think Foster has reached out from Akomi saying like, hey, you guys need to fix this on both CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, and for whatever reason, just getting ignored. I'm not sure why, but that's something that really should be fixed because, I mean, if I'm somebody new and I don't know what Akomi is and I take a look, all right, yeah, $100-ish million market cap, but oh, they have like total supply is 310 billion. They still have 340 billion left to go. Like, I'm going to immediately be like, I don't like this token because of this reason. Now, obviously, that's just at first glance. I would have to go into it if this is something I'm thinking seriously investing in. And then I was like, okay, this is obviously wrong for whatever reason. But at first glance, this is just a big turnoff for a lot of future investors.
So, but they have the total supply. You can have max. So there's a difference, and actually on at least on CoinGecko, so it says max supply is 750 billion, right? But it says that's just the max number of coins coded to exist in the lifetime of the cryptocurrency. However, total supply, which is at 311 billion approximately, says the amount of coins that have already been created minus any coins that have been burned / removed from circulation. It's comparable to outstanding shares in the stock market. So like this is saying that, like, I believe it's implying or I'm inferring from this information that of that 750 billion, 440 billion of it's basically burned. It's out of commission. So are you saying that they should just take that max supply away completely?
Yeah, or at least make it uniform so that the max supply is the same with the total supply. Because just at first glance, it's just what it looks like.
But I think it's important for them to demonstrate that 750 billion were minted, but now 440 billion are basically gone or burned out of existence.
The fair. I mean, even though I think 97 billion of that is locked up, it still exists. It's just locked up for like 1,000 years. It's hard to tell like that story and just the numbers and like why it was burned. And I just kind of want it a little more clear. I don't know if that's even possible. I don't know if that's something they could do. But just at first glance, like, oh, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What are your thoughts on that, Rain?
Yeah, I wish the CoinGecko has the number massively off, showing the max supply still at 750 billion, but it does show the total supply being 310 billion, which is cool. So the market cap and the fully diluted value are close to being right. It's good enough. Hopefully they update the max supply number and correct that down, and then it's clear enough on what things are. I've heard from several teams that CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap are a real pain to work with unless you're like a top 10 company, and then they get back to you right away. But like, otherwise, you're low on their priority to getting your stuff correct, even after you like submit it multiple times.
Great.
Interesting. All right. Well, look, obviously one of the big topics that we will talk about is the public OMIto NFT beta, but we're waiting for special guests to show up. So we're going to push that down the timeline into the topics that we talk about. So look, I'm going to jump to one of Randy's topics that I love that he brought up is October and spooky season. And I think it's always fun to kind of see some of the IP that comes out, that came out last year. So Randy, talk to me. Like what would you like to see? Are we going to see some more spooky fish stuff as well? Because anyways, yeah, talk to me about this.
I mean, I hope some more spooky piece from Brock. Brock does a lot of stuff, and we'll get into more on him later. I don't know if there's anything holding back the Universal license on what they're doing. I know, let's say for Jurassic Park, we had that license for like 2 years before we got it, just because they wanted to wait for the movie. I don't know if Universal has anything up their sleeves, like in their plans for like these monster movies. Like I know originally with the Tom Cruise version of The Mummy, they wanted to have their whole monsterverse, but then the movie it flopped. But that would have been great. You get Dracula, you get The Mummy, you get Frankenstein. Like, give us something like that. I don't know if anyone remembers Stranger Things season 4, where Eddie's going to Robin and be like, what are you even looking for? Giving back a whole bunch of like cassette tapes. And she's like, Madonna, Bowie, Blondie, Beatles, music. We need music. And he's like, this is music. Looking at all of his like heavy metal stuff. I feel like if you just give us some type of monster, I'd be really happy. And then there's some people be like, well, Chavez, we already have like Ron English monsters. We have the, toucan fat guy. You have the Captain Crunch fat guy. You have the actual Frankenfat. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is monsters. It's not my monsters. Like, some people say, not my president. These are not my monsters. I want my monsters. And I love spooky stuff. I love this. I get continuously sad every October because I can't have fun with these monsters. And I get it. Chavez, you're complaining about these grown toys. Like JG Wentworth says, my money and I want it now. They're my monsters and I want them now. And that's my rant for the day.
What would you like to see, Ray? Do you have any special horror?
Well, one of the big things I wanted to see was Wolverine, and they delivered on that. So I'm happy. As far as like other things that come out, like, I don't know. I'm just kind of sitting back and just waiting, right? So I didn't expect K-pop to be in there. I didn't expect them to hit out of the park with so many cool comics and this whole like launching new comics as they come out idea. So I guess I haven't put tons of thought into what I'm hoping that they release soon. I'm just like sitting back and enjoying what they're doing and keep watching on the business side on whether I feel like they're making good decisions and the right decisions. And I feel like they are. Like, I'm excited as an investor. And as a collector, like, I have some of my stuff. Some of the stuff I really wanted to see was Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and they've had those for forever. And then Marvel Comics. Like, so like, I'm pretty content. I don't know. It's all like extra to me.
I like how you said Wolverine because I love him too, but he's not a monster. And I get like, remember
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a vampire before, so I guess that counts. But if you remember Rocky 2, Adrian has like a stroke or something after she gives birth, and Rocky's like by her side, and Mickey, the trainer, comes in and says, Rock, why don't you do what you did before? That was beautiful. I want to like take VeVe by the hand and be like, remember these Kripkins? Do what you did before. That was beautiful. I love these little guys. But they're not like scary. When you're on the scary side of TikTok and you see these like creepy videos at 2 a.m, that's what I want to feel. I want actual scariness on here. And again, I love these New Jersey Devil Mothman guys. They're filled with lore, but they're like cutesy scary. They're not really scary. I want real scare.
So, like, and I'm loving some of the comments right here that we're getting on. You got Cthulhu, that could be huge. A zombie Marvel could be rad. You've got Tall Man from Phantasm with the animated flying killer sphere. Yeah, like, well, yeah, but what about freaking what was it? Midnight? Was it Midnight Cthulhu that Brock was pushing that we're still supposed to get?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Is it
one of those guys? We have the Cosmic Cthulhu, but yeah, whatever we're supposed to get, we don't have.
It's Midnight Chupacabra. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Midnight Chupacabra. Yeah, but look, someone said Pennywise. Yeah, Justin said Pennywise. I would love to see Pennywise. That would be awesome. Be awesome to see,
especially if he's freaking scary.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and actually, you know what I would absolutely love is some sort of version of a werewolf, right? Where like, basically Jack Nicholas or something, like a human that's animated, and then like there's a moon that's covered by clouds, and then as the clouds move, then they convert to a werewolf. Oh my gosh, I think that would be a huge hit. a huge hit. So like,
what if instead of the moon, because it's hard to then put a whole moon in there, is
Sure.
if you tap it and he converts, kind of like, the Spider-Man, you can make him backflip and do stuff. So you just tap it and he converts, and then tap it and he converts back.
yeah.
We could have
Definitely.
both. I want the moon.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I'm like, I'm going big. Like, I'm going to ask for it, and we'll see what happens, right?
Like,
But if
have you
we
guys seen
start
that?
with that, Rain, then we'll never get the moon. You know what I mean?
Have you seen that Star Trek ship and how like big it can get? Like, we can get that with the moon. Like, they've done it before. That Star Trek ship that we have on VeVe, that can get huge, like stadium big. So I feel like we can get the moon, and the
But
moon
then
would be.
if you have to have the moon in there, it just messes up using it in different scenarios. Because say you have 5 of them, then you have like 5 moons. That doesn't make any sense. So it's like you would have to be able to turn the moon on and off.
Are you aware that we have 2 moons right now, right?
Not aware of that.
Like 2 days ago, a giant asteroid entered our atmosphere. So we currently do have a second moon. And I mean, Saturn has like 9 moons. Like there's a bunch, like if you're a Namek, we're about to get Dragon Ball Z. Namek has a bunch of moons. Namek has 2 suns.
Yeah,
So
but
I
it's
feel
just like if you're trying to make a
Um,
scene and you have these moons that you're like can't get out of the way and stuff, you're just like, nah, it just complicates it. So like you then have to make the moon turn on and off. And at some point that probably won't be a big deal. They can be like, add the moon in, remove it at a tap and stuff. That complexity level isn't there yet. In the future, I can imagine like you can have little action figures that you can put in a little arena and you can control them and box them. But that might be like 5 or 8 years from now, like where he's going.
I'd love to get NASA on here. If we can't get Elon Musk SpaceX, let's get NASA. Let's get the Challenger. Let's get the moon. Let's get it all.
Why can't we get SpaceX? Way better.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'll go SpaceX over NASA any day.
I agree. I'd love it. But if you get one, then maybe the other might be like, oh, okay, you got them. I'll come on board as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Wealth Abundance. We heart you. We heart the fan. All the support here. I'm loving this, man. Just like all of these different. See, and that's the thing is that there's so much potential of like IP that's still out there. In so many different genres of things, but horror is definitely one that VeVe could definitely like expand into. And I hope that they kind of work on timing of releases, right? Where we are getting more horror stuff during October, where we are getting a lot of Star Wars stuff in early May, like those type of things. I mean, we could get like The Nightmare Before Christmas would be freaking awesome in like Halloween or Christmas type stuff. Yeah, so many. Well,
I do know some important IP that I think they should really add around Christmas time. I think they need a Randy, a Rain, and a Doc NFT or collectible.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean,
I'll make sure David's got my phone number so, he can reach out to me when they're ready to schedule that.
Yeah. You just let us know. Dan, David, Ben, just let us know when you're ready to discuss the deets on that.
Wait, Jupiter has 95 moons?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't fact check that. So, but Kumo's pretty freaking smart, so I'm gonna trust that actually. Yes, I do remember this potential human. The DraftKings did have a collectible Saw horror NFT. And what's his name? What's the Saw's guy's name? With the little squiggly cheeks. I can't think of it.
Jigsaw.
What's that?
Jigsaw.
Dude, those Saw movies are freaking wild. The first one, I just like I just was like, that was insane. So yeah, what a cool villain there, horror villain. So, wait, who's saying? I don't know which ones you're talking about. Those NFTs would tank. Look, man, as long as people are collecting what they love, I don't think that people care. Like there's some that I have so many DeLoreans that are well below what I paid for them, and like I love them. I love them so much. I need more Wolverines. I'm really hoping that some cryptos pump substantially before VeVe, anything VeVe really takes off, so that I can then go back and stock up seriously on some Wolverines. Yeah, but okay, so here's the next one as we're talking about different things that VeVe can drop. They just recently announced a phygital, right, which is a collaboration of a stamp. What's the company's name again?
It's called a black penny, but I don't know.
So do you know what the historical significance of the black penny is?
So StanleyGibbons put a
StanleyGibbons. That's it.
Yeah, he put a whole video out yesterday, and it was I don't know, like 8 minutes long or something like that. And I just commented, "Can't wait to get this on VeVe," and then they gave me a thumbs up and a like. They go through the whole thing. I guess originally it was sending letters was only available to like the elite. And then when you had these pennybacks, they were like, everyone was like laughing at the idea, like nobody's going to buy that. That's stupid. That's silly. And then it became like a huge thing. I don't know how there's 150 of these like left that they're able to do for a giveaway. I don't know how they secured this deal. I think this is why it's $10, because the fact that they're still around and they're giving them away if you have a secret rare is bananas. So, but yeah, that's all I really know about it.
Yeah, I was looking, like, I feel like they printed mad amounts of them initially. But yeah, my understanding is basically this is the stamp that kind of started it all, right? For like the common man to be able to communicate with people via letter, and I believe it was in the UK, right? And so, but like you said, like people were just like, this is never going to work. People aren't going to do this. And so I love this collaboration on so many different levels, because so many people are just like, oh, VeVe, it's dead. It's never going to work. Digital collectibles weren't going to be a thing. NFTs aren't going to be a thing. And now they're doing this collaboration with this stamp, right? Kind of like the first stamp that people also said back in the day, this is never going to work. This isn't going to be a thing. No one's going to want to use this. And then, and now people look back and it's just like, of course it was going to work. This is amazing. Of course, like this was going to take off. Hindsight's always 20/20, but so I love this collaboration and the physical part of it, that people are going to get that special VeVe case. I'm going to try like mad. I think that these are actually going to sell out pretty quickly, to be honest. I would be at $10 a pop, but to be fair, I think that, I was looking on like eBay, I don't know. I think these stamps, depending on condition in general, a single stamp, it's going to go for like $100 to $300, right? So nothing crazy, but if you have like a stamp, and I think that that's in there, because there's different variants, right? It's basically one of them is like a pack or a 4-pack or something like that. So I think that those are extremely rare. If you had ones that hadn't been used already to be mailed and they're connected still or something, I believe that those would go for a significant amount of money. And I think that it kind of talks about that in the drop. So it says it's the first adhesive stamp, OG communicator invention that changed everything in 1840, according to Cuomo there.
The 1840, there's a $1,000 bounty on that from Comics and Crypto. They said if you get that mint number, they'll give you $1,000 for it. So I was like, okay, cool. So if you want to pull 100 times and try for it, you can. No guarantee you get that. Let's go over that real quick. I have a very addictive personality. I drink too much. I gamble too much. In VeVe, I pull that slot handle quite a bit. And and with new technology that we have with Stacker, we're able to see, oh, hey, the last pull of this blind box was a common or was an ultra or whatever. You're able to count. VeVe gives you statistics. Oh, this is a 1 in 10. You get 1 in 12. The Groot's Marvel Mighties happen to be a 1 in 64 for the secret rare. And I counted that the last secret rare was done like 4 days ago now. And I counted for every day since then, the 2 commons and the ultra rare that were gotten off the drop. The rare doesn't count because that can only be crafted. was only able to be crafted. You can't craft those anymore. And there was like 41 of them that they'd been pulled without getting it. I was like, okay, I would have to pull this 24 times, and I'd likely get it in between there. Maybe I'd have to go and pull it maybe 30 times, whatever. I was like, okay, even if I had to pull it 30 times, 15 things a pull is $450. They're already going for like $490. So it's like, I might as well try it. And 18 pulls later, I got it. Thankfully, it was like 3 a.m. and nobody else was online doing that. But I feel like people do sometimes. You're like struck, like in the Aliens versus Avengers. There's like a couple people going, it's like, oh, did I get it? Did I get it? And you have to keep on checking, and it's stressful. And does VeVe need to have one of those warning signs like they have on cigarettes, like Surgeon General warning? If you know someone with a gambling problem, please call this number. Because I feel like I'm very close to that edge. I'm like right on that edge. What do you guys think?
I mean, look, I'm not gonna say anything because I already told my story last week of freaking like minting an additional 60. Or it was, I can't remember. I'm sorry. I might be inflating that number. It might have been 40, but just like well over the statistical probability of me hitting that, comic. And I was just like, but by then it was just like I'm in it, right? Like it's a sunk cost fallacy. Like I know that I should just be like, yes, like I've wasted this, like, and why throw potential good money after bad? But that was like, because I'm gonna freaking get this now. Like I'm committed, But that I don't know, man. That's part of the thing that like draws me in. It's fun. That probability hitting that thing, when you're going for it, like that. It's that dopamine hit that people continuously go back for, and I think that that's one of the powers that like VeVe really has is that, right? It keeps drawing people in. No surgeon warning warranted, in my opinion. There you go.
Yeah, there's so it's easy to get lost in the sauce. Thankfully, I already had those gems on there, so I wasn't like digging into the pocketbook every pull. It was like I had the gems on there. So
you know what's interesting about the Surgeon General warnings, like on cigarettes, they found when they did some research on this, that when people were addicted to cigarettes, they were addicted to when they would get stressed that they would smoke more. So when they put the Surgeon General warnings, it didn't lead to less sales. It led to more sales. So they were happy to comply. In fact, if you go to Canada, you see the label is huge on the cigarette pack. So they're like, warning, because it increases sales, and it increases smoking because it gets them in a nervous state, and then they smoke to calm their nerves. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe if they put the warning all over the place, it would lead to more impulsive buying.
Look, I have to address this. Big A says, by the way, Doc, I'm in Xbox beta for Off the Grid. Have you played yet? I forgot to sign up for the beta. Like as soon as you said that, because I saw like, what's his name? Mustache, Crypto Mustache?
Crypto Stash.
Crypto Stash, yeah. Like he had posted there, like, and Jesus, Gabriel, I can't remember, Jesus something as well, talked about like, oh, you like Off the Grid is now available on Xbox. Legitimately, I took a 15-minute break and went and tried to like download it on my Xbox. I was like, time out, I'm going, like right then, and tried to do it, and it was like currently not available. And I was like, yo, why would you do that to me? Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited to play Off the Grid. I'd love to hear what your take on it is so far, Big A. But we kind of talked about this last week, but Raul Powell has a buddy who's a big gamer, super big influencer and stuff, who's played Off the Grid and said, like, it is phenomenal. And, like, this is going to be the craziest battle royale, like, in the history of gaming, is my understanding. Like, it's going to, like, I can't remember how many people can play at once in this battle royale. I don't know if it's like 800 or something. I mean, just like crazy. You know what I mean? So, and maybe it's 400. I don't know. But what's up, Matt? Good to see you, buddy. Shout out to you. Matt's a freaking rock star. Okay. Oh, yeah. warning, it's bad for your pocketbook, but great for your dopamine, and also just great for your kids, man. Like my kids constantly want to play with my collectibles there. So okay, I want to talk to you about this next topic here. There was this huge debate, and I think it was Rudy. I think it was Rudy and Rain. You went and hung out with Rudy and Tina out like a little while ago, right? And but Rudy was talking about like animated comics because Marvel had this post on X that basically was kind of like an animated version of some of the cells in the comics and stuff. And he's like, man, like how would this be to be like this would be so epic to have this on VeVe. I'd like to get your thoughts on this because we know that DC Comics. Look, I got the first animated comic cover. I got multiple of the first animated comic cover on the blockchain through DC. I think that that's going to potentially be a big deal for people. Could VeVe do number one? Could VeVe do animated covers? And then would people want animated comic books? And because someone was like, well, then why wouldn't you just like go to YouTube or something like that and basically see it played out, or like would that be different? So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on that, and then also you guys in the chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts on should VeVe do animated covers, or should they do a full comic, like animated comic? What would that take? How much would that cost? Type thing. And what would that look like? I'd love to get you guys' thoughts. And Rain, can I hear from you first?
Yeah, animated covers is a good idea. Like animating the whole comic book, who knows? That's kind of untested. And people say, oh, you could just watch the cartoon. Yeah, but can you own the cartoon? Now you kind of can, right? If they had an animated comic book. So like that's not a bad idea either. Cool. Especially limited edition stuff, right? So what's funny is this idea of ownership being introduced, it will change collecting tremendously. Digital ownership, kind of like the stamp thing you were mentioning earlier. I can just see all the fudders back then. What a stupid idea. Oh my gosh, this little thing that you adhere to, whatever, and you can send. No, like what? And, you know, new technology always faces resistance. I was much younger when the internet became a thing and email, and nobody knew how to do it. I remember all the news stations saying how dumb that was and how it was going to put the post office out of business and how many jobs were going to be lost because of this new dumb idea. Yeah, so digital collectibles is an innovative idea. It makes sense. Like I was thinking, people are like, oh, it's bad for your wallet. Do you know how much money baseball card and football card and basketball card collectors spend on filling their garages full of cards? It's crazy. It is crazy. So now they won't have to fill their garages full of this stuff. They'll be able to fill their vault full of this stuff, which is just easier to store, easier to move. So I think this innovation is going to be a big deal. Animated comics, animated covers. I think that's part of it.
What about you, Randy?
As just a fan, because the comic that they showed was Aliens vs. Avengers, and looking at that, like, this is so cool. I want that. As a consumer, or as somebody that has consumer friends that are relatively frugal, when Aliens vs. Avengers came out and it was like, I think like $11 or something as opposed to like $7, or I'm sorry, it was like $7 as opposed to $5, or like it was like a couple dollars more. A lot of people were like, it made them almost not buy it. Some people did not buy it because of that, even though they were getting double the content. Normal comic books are like 20-ish pages, and this one was like 40-ish. So they got double the content for not double the price. They got it for like 40% more. But if people are complaining about spending like $2 or $3 extra on something they were going to buy anyway, like, I really want this, but first, like, I'll ignore that for right now. But how much do you think they're going to charge if they have to fully animate a comic? Like at that point, just animate it and make it a show. That would do amazingly well. Not this one. There's only be like a 4-part miniseries because there's only 4 comics of this. But from a business standpoint, it's like, okay, people are already buying this, but they're already balking at the price. You know, it's going to be really hard to justify another price increase for the same amount of content, you are getting more. And then, who has to voice it? Like, it's great if you see them animated, but is it going to be like the old, talkies where they, they just show it and then they show the words, they have talks, is how expensive is that going to get? If they want to do it as a one-off and they want to see like how it does, they're like, okay, how much would this cost us? How much can we make? And again, this is a really good comic. What if they do that with comics that maybe it's just absolute trash? And it's like, okay, we really missed the mark on this. I feel like Disney and Marvel are already not the greatest at making that much money just because Disney Plus is losing money. A lot of the parks are, the movies are not doing as well as they want. If I were them, I'd be a little bit skittish on trying to do it. But again, as a fan, like that'd be heckin' awesome. I would love that. And again, if you want to make it a business, sometimes you have to be first to market, and sometimes you have to, bite that bullet and take that risk. No risk, no reward. No risk, no victory. So,
well, so Bill Gardner says, I'm in a project called Eon Rift that did animated comic and covers, and I think it's incredible. I saw that, Bill. I saw that, and I guess that's what sparked it. And I was like, wow, this is actually look really cool. Like I really enjoyed it. So you guys should check that out. Love for you guys to check that out and then circle back and see like what you thought of it. Because I think that with AI now, there's quite a bit of the animation that can be done to really cut down costs on that, right? Potentially. So, but we got some other comments here, right? Where Ozzy says, I really like original, especially for grails. Not a fan of animated covers. I agree with you, right? Keeping those grails, like those older comics, just the way they are. I think that just, I agree with you there. I would think that, this would be something with a new comic, like an Aliens versus Avengers type comic that's just brand new, where they could try that out on. And not mess with something like that's already proven historically to be, highly sought after and revered. You don't want to mess with that. So Double Quill says animated might be a bit much, a bit gaudy looking. Yeah, it depends. Like, I don't know. Like, I really liked the DC animated covers. Some of them I was like, meh. But others I was like, that's actually like pretty dope, And it's pretty simple animation. It's nothing big. So anyways, just an interesting topic that like I just wanted to cover and get you guys' thoughts on. And I do challenge you guys if you find time to look at Eon Rift and look at those animated comics, because I was like, it's pretty freaking cool.
Can we get to the comment that talks about AI? I think it's like just below this or two below this. So it wouldn't animate. So that is something that they could do. They might. And there might be some strife about that where people are like, oh, they're taking jobs away from really good animators. Like, fair point. But, the perk of working with AI is that it doesn't sleep. It can't be bribed. And you could work it 24/7. Don't have to pay it overtime. And it does what you want with relative ease, with relative accuracy. And it can work so quick. That is a good point there. If they're going to animate it, they could have most of the stuff done by AI, and then they could have an animator do the finishing touches. I wasn't even thinking about that. I think it was Grok or something recently that there was a student that took notes in this college classroom or whatever, uploaded it into Grok, and then they made it like a 10-minute podcast. And it's like, this will change studying. This has changed studying in colleges now. It's insane. Sorry. You were saying?
Yeah. So I I laughed when I read this. Maybe animate the uncommon, and it will no longer be the most hated rarity comic. Brilliant idea. I mean, look, these are the things like the VeVe community comes up with some like phenomenal ideas. And even if it's not animating it, right? But like, is there something else that they could do to the uncommon cover? Like, I'll say this: I absolutely love what DC Comics did with the uncommons on the OG Golden Age comics, where basically it's the most worn out version of the comic, and there's like drawings in there and people like writings and stuff. It's so awesome. Like I absolutely love the uncommon covers, and in fact, I believe that the uncommon is more expensive on the Superman #1 than the common is because of that fact, right? So like I do think that if you look just at a lot of the OG, Golden Age type, Silver Age comics, that those uncommons and the way that they did those, actually those uncommons are typically more valuable than the commons because of that, which is super interesting. So I think that would be a way that if they wanted to, up the sales volume and increase the value on the uncommon cover, because it is, the uncommons typically are the most. And I'll tell you what, man, and no hate to whoever the artist is that like the Wolverine #1 comic that like I got a ton of that I just covered on with emoji last week on the comic shop. That uncommon is so horrendous, and I bought so many of the Wolverine #1s trying to get that yellow cover of the ultra rare, and I got so many of those uncommons. I would get so angry every time. So bad. Make uncommon covers great. I can't even say it again. Just make them great. Finally. The uncommons are just a money grab. Shouldn't even have them.
Then something else will be the uncommon. Then the rare will be the
uncommons, right? Like there's gonna be one that's just not as revered. So yeah, I agree with you there. Okay, guys, look, Wes called it Downtober. People are hoping for Uptober. We have this great promise on the 30th, and then all of a sudden just crypto just tanked, like crazy tanked, right? So I would love, we've been talking about these things, and actually I'm waiting for, and they might just jump in, our special guest. So, but let's just start talking about crypto in general in October. And I think that's going to lead us into OMI and then with our special guest. So let's go from there.
I did want to talk about crypto tanking. You're talking about the last 2 days where crypto's tanked?
Yeah.
So Paul, in the episode earlier with Paul, he brought up a good point, right? So he's a little bit closer to this than we are, but basically massive strike and problems between Israel and Iran. And over there in the UK, they're worried about like World War III happening and watching it. And usually when that happens, the market really tanks. But the stock market went down a little bit. The crypto market went down a little bit. And he said this is actually a very bullish sign that the market wants to take off and do well, because usually you see a much bigger decrease when an event like this happens. And that says that people are in a bullish mood. I was like, that's some good context. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that thinking behind it.
Fascinating. I'll say for me, I'm still bullish. Like I've seen these prices and I'm like, yeah, look, obviously there's some world events that recently took place that I think really were the catalyst for, this kind of bearish like sentiment. But like Rain said, and I obviously like what Paul said, is I think most people are kind of just like, yeah, but still, like It's October, and like we've been waiting, and like the halving has happened, all of these things have happened. We already saw this bullish sentiment, like pretty bullish jump up, right? Some projects like went up 30 to 40% in a day, over 2 days, like actually one project in a week. Didn't Devi do like a 3x?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it went from 14 cents to like 45 cents.
I thought it got down to 11 cents. Maybe it's 14 cents. Yeah. So, but yeah, like it pumped drastically. So yeah, I still think that we're going to have like an overall bullish October, but regardless, I'm grateful for this dip, because I do believe that whether it's October or November, like there's, in my opinion, and how I'm acting is I'm buying as much crypto as I can while prices are like where they are now. Like I'm just trying to get in like my last buys, because like I don't know how long this is going to last before things are going double, triple, and then it's just like you got to find things that haven't pumped yet or something. But anyways, Let's see. Yeah, Carrot is another one. This gaming project, guys. My Pet Hooligan is. They've been around for a while, and they initially did like NFTs. Okay, these awesome rabbit kind of like counterculture NFTs, and they developed this game. And like some of the people from like that have joined the team are like from massive like Fortnite. Like I mean, they've got some substantial backing, and like if you haven't checked out their game, it's super awesome. And then the narrative is basically like Zuckerberg or like has created these Zucker bots, you know, that are trying to like take over the world. And so like these rabbits are trying to freaking like, you know, keep Zuckerberg and his bots from taking over the world. I think it's awesome. And again, it's counterculture. These guys are kind of like rude, punkish rabbits with epic graphics and stuff. And they have a token called Carrot that's out now on Coinbase. It's on Coinbase already. And I guess like if Web3 gaming really takes off, like this is another one I believe is also going to be on Xbox and PlayStation. And these are the types of games that I think that the masses are just going to gravitate towards. And like Big A was kind of talking about, like as he's doing this beta, he's like the guns token just seems like an in-app currency. They have no idea that it's crypto going in the background. That's what we need. And as soon as it's going to just take one person, one big influencer who just happens to be playing this game, and maybe they hate NFTs or whatever, but they're like, I'm just going to try this so I can trash talk it. And then they're going to earn some epic NFT, right, that they can sell on the market for $500. And they're going to be like, hold on just a second here. You know, like I'm going to make money apart from like sponsors or anything like that. I can legit make money playing a game I like. Just like in the game, I can make money. Like that's going to change the mentality of gamers everywhere. And that's when I like, if that happens, man, I think the Web3 gaming explosion, even just the speculation on it, will be insane. But the ones that will rise to the top are the ones that have awesome gameplay. And I'm looking at Cornucopia's game, guys. I'm looking at Gunzilla, Off the Grid, My Pet Hooligan. Myria is going to have stuff too. Like I think that, anyways, it's going to be pretty exciting here. So,
as far as the tokens that we're talking about are concerned, you know, like Devi, Carrot, even Bitcoin and ETH, I don't want to say don't pay attention to the last 48 hours, but you've had this like triple whammy that's gone into crypto. So everything we're talking about is going to be down just because you do have that war in the Middle East with Iran and Israel. You do have the port strike that's going on where apparently we're losing like 5 billion a day. And you do have Hurricane Helene that just absolutely devastated the Southeast. So you just have 3 separate events going on that probably would have made the crypto market a little shaky in general. And they all came within like 48 hours of each other. They all came in that. So obviously everything's going to be down just because of that. Don't just be like, oh, they looked at Carrot and it's down 15%, or look at Devi and it's down, yeah, you know, same thing, like 15% for the last couple of days. Also, you can't run 3x and not maybe, you know, pull back a little bit. That's just my thoughts there. But yeah.
So I wanted to highlight this game too, Star Atlas, right? Rain knows way more about Star Atlas than I do. And I know that you followed Star Atlas for quite some time, but like, what are your thoughts on it? How do you think Star Atlas will do? And they have an associated token as well, right?
Yeah, they have 2 associated tokens. I haven't followed it closely for a while. Space games with good economics behind them are really expensive to develop. And doing a good space game, like it's a big challenge. So one I've been following I haven't been following it very close for about 3 years, but they've been in development for like 12 years, is Star Citizen. And they have a model where they sell ships to like pre-sale investors, essentially. And these ships, you'll be able to transfer them in game like once, maybe twice total. But it's not clear that you'll be able to sell them, and you don't really kind of own them. So it's kind of murky as to what value you have, other than if you buy it at a certain stage in it, you'll have lifetime insurance, and that the ship will always have insurance that you won't have to pay in game to reinsure it every so often. So people are speculating, and they've raised like $700 million over the past 12 years selling these ships. Imagine if Star Citizen, which will probably be one of the coolest space games, and you can play it, like you can download it and play it if you bought a package, went to crypto. It would be a big deal and just put their stuff on the blockchain, integrated with a really high-speed blockchain like Devio, and put everything accessible on the blockchain, and then you could sell it to players. That would be amazing, but I don't know that they're going to do it. Now, Star Atlas is building a game to compete with that, but like space games, you have to hit it right. There are countless space games out there that aren't going to get much traction. So having said that, will their game be amazing? I don't know. I don't know. Will it probably do well in the bull run because blockchain gaming gets money thrown at like crazy? Yes. So will the game ultimately be amazing? It seems like Gunzilla's game is ultimately going to be amazing. We have a good idea where Illuvium's game is and how good it's going to be. Star Atlas, I have no idea how good the game's going to be yet. Will the tokens probably do well in the bull market? Probably. They've been severely punished by the bear market. They'll probably do well in the bull market.
I think it should also be mentioned that a game doesn't necessarily have to be good for the token to go insane. From what I heard, Wraithax, who had a bunch of these little Axes and Axes Infinities, he would play it and then he would just like, I'm just going to hand out scholarships because the gameplay was pretty boring.
But that was forgivable in 2021 because it was the only thing out there that had something playable with any kind of tokenomics model. I think that'll be less forgiving in 2024, 2025.
Point.
I agree. I will still say to Randy's point though, like I still think that if it's in the narrative, anything that's like alive then will probably like the token will probably do well. Now that's what I'm saying. Like the top games, I think that those could be like the massive gainers, right? On that, because if you look at that, like Illuvium last cycle pumped substantially. Like the token went up to like $1,000, and I think it was because they saw the gameplay. And they were comparing it to what Axie had and how well Axie had done. And they're like, if Axie can do this, well, Illuvium is going to be way more fun to play, right? And so there's all that speculation. So that's where I am trying to look at, like, what are the top games? And then also to Big A's point, like he talked about earlier about he holds a big bag of it, like Avalanche, is where these big games going to be, like what blockchain are they on? And I think that people are also going to look at those blockchains and look at those tokens. So Avalanche is another one there. So I love Coriel, like what Coriel says here, just in general about like with VeVe and collectibles. They're saying my issue is not what new collectibles should come out. My dilemma is all the grails on this app and figuring out what the heck to get next. Right? It's just like it can be tough if you're just coming in, right? And you're just like, oh, like prices are way lower than they've ever been, and so like I have this much money, like what should I be picking up? And it's just it's hard to choose. So that was fun. But back to the gaming thing, I love this comment too that Big A says, that's most people's original experience with VeVe. Speaking about when I was talking about people, these gamers that come in and figure out that they can actually earn money playing the game is like, wait, I can buy pictures on my phone and sell them for thousands in profit? I love NFTs now, right? I think that's going to happen with gaming, but people, they're just doing what they already enjoy, and now they're going to potentially make money from it. And I think that is such an amazing thing that blockchain is enabling, that it's going to, like Rain has said so many times, and like I just want to give him credit for this because it's going to happen at some point. I don't want it to get lost in the history, right? But like is Web3 gaming at some point will just be called gaming. Because all of the games they're gonna have to migrate to this, because all of the players are gonna be like, well, why would I play this game? Yeah, this game is cool, but this game is also cool and I can make money. So like, peace out. And so all of these other gaming industries are gonna be like, we got to get on the blockchain. We have to shift our business model to this, right? Otherwise they're gonna sink and be gone. And these other games is where all of the money and all of the attention is gonna go.
I mean, that's why GTA 6 has been delayed for like 8 years. They want it on the blockchain.
Yeah. So Abe says, look, I have not followed. I don't know much about anything about Telegram gaming. Do either of you guys know much about Telegram gaming?
It was just a fad. It was an easy to deploy thing. And that doesn't mean it can't have tokens run in the coming bull market, because money will be flooding in. And sometimes it's almost like they just throw money at anything that moves. I remember Phoenix bull market for housing back in like 2003, and a home would come on the market and people would just throw money at it like crazy, like 30,000 over listing, 40,000 over listing. And in the bull market, it's kind of like that with like projects come out. They're like, oh, we have this new Telegram game and it's actually playable. And it's like, yeah, it sucks. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Throwing money at it is some of what happens. And it's just craziness. I don't like to go for those types of projects. I prefer to invest in things I think have a long-term future because they're just higher probability bets. But it does get some craziness during that time of like, will Telegram gaming projects run? Possibly, even though they're complete shit. They might.
There's I think the Meme Alliance has a Telegram game coming out. The cat is the first cat character in there. I thought that was cool. I don't know if you would consider this Telegram game in chat, but they talked about it a lot. It is the Bored Ape game that came out where it's called Poo Dash or Dookie Dash, where you're a bored ape and you're on this like little thing in a sewer, and it's pretty fun, not gonna lie. And if you're in like the top 250 or the top 100 or something like that, you get like $1,000 of ape coin, after like 90 days or so. I was playing it for like a couple hours one day, and it was like too much. I was like, I'm not gonna keep this up. You could do it, but you'd have to play for like hours and hours a day, and for $1,000 just not worth it.
So Crypto Cosmo, who's been on the show, his son has been playing this, and the last I heard, he was in the top 250, and I believe that the top 250 are going to be entered into a tournament where they can potentially like earn even more. So I'll have to talk to him about that and follow up, and like I don't know much about that. But yeah, like there's all sorts of look at this. There he is, right? His son is in the top 250 in Dookie Dash. He says Rookie Dash, but I think that Dookie Dash there. So Cosmo, man, I'm gonna have to reach out to you, buddy, and chat about like or even just in the chat if you can say kind of like in the top 250, isn't there like a tournament, and then like what do the winnings go up to there? But Big A had a comment on TG Gaming. He says it's a niche. It's overloaded with bots. Not worth it. He said he played Hamster a Combat for 3 months, just a few minutes a day, got $21. Listen, I play Marvel Snap probably more than that every day, and I get nothing. In fact, I pay. So like, there might be something to this. You know what I mean? Like $21 is better than $0, which is what I got. But anyways, super fun. I do not believe US that you are number 2 on Dookie. I do not believe that. So prove it. Because I've seen like, so the crazy thing is I don't know if you guys remember this, but Bored Ape had done this Dookie Dash competition like originally, but you had to like have a Bored Ape to get like a key, and the key allowed you to play the game or something, right? But then the prize for the top player was was this special key or something. I don't remember what they won, but they won something, an NFT. And this player who used to be on what is it? What's that? Is it Twitch? Twitch streaming? He was a Twitch streamer, played games, right? But he kind of got burned out. Like he was a top player on Twitch and did all these tournaments and stuff, and he kind of got burned out. But then he took like first and third and fifth or something like this in this game, got the top NFT, and was able to sell that Bored Ape NFT for like millions of dollars, which is wild. So anyways, it would be interesting to see. So he says, first release of Dookie Dash was to improve rarity of free airdrop, get someone's drop to top 250. Getting someone's drop to $250 would have easily made your son 10K plus. I don't know what that means. Someone's drop to top 250.
I guess that was the first iteration of it, and this is just a follow-up.
Let's see. Crypto Cosmo says top 250 in season 1 get entered into the season 1 tournament. Minimum reward is 1K in ape coin, over $1 million in prizes. So, anyways, it's fun to just talk about this gaming, and I think that more and more people are really paying attention to the Web3 gaming space, and the AI space, right? So I think that those and even like the real world asset space. So those, I think projects in those narratives are poised to do quite well this cycle, and we've already seen it. We've already seen some pumps throughout that, and we're not even in the bull run, right? So it'll be interesting to see there.
Doesn't renting them though make them eligible to be a security though?
Look, I've talked about that. Yeah. Like, and it's funny because Crypto Cosmo and I kind of like went back and forth about that. He doesn't think that that's the case. And I'm like, I think that that's it. It could potentially, it doesn't automatically make them a security, but depending on how things are structured, it absolutely could enter them in. So I've had a lot of people that have reached out to me and been like, you're always talking about, regulatory uncertainty and like, this could be a security, yada, yada, yada. Well, why haven't they gone after Bored Ape? I'll tell you why, in my opinion, why they haven't. Is there's so much other low-hanging fruit that they're just like, we're going to go after these. Bored Ape has hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, they have the money to fight the SEC. The SEC is already losing a lot of battles right now. So I think that they're going to pick the low-hanging fruit and go after that.
They're going after projects that don't have the funding to fight them back, right?
Yes.
Because by the time the lawsuit would even settle, Gary Gensler won't likely be there. And if Trump wins, it's going to be a whole different framework for the SEC. If Kamala wins, well, it'll be probably SEC as normal. People are like, Kamala said she's pro-crypto. And it's like, can we, like Joe Biden's pretty much admitted he doesn't make the decisions in the presidential office. And he wanted to run again, but they wouldn't let him. Okay. So in other words, he's not in charge there. Anyone think Kamala is going to be in charge there? Whoever is running it, if Kamala is president, are the same people that are running it now in the same kind of direction on the SEC. That's not going to change if Kamala wins. I would love for that to be the case. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish Kamala said, oh, I'm going to be very pro-crypto, and I could believe her. That just doesn't add up to me. Kamala is just like, she's like, oh, we can't have Joe there. He's, the American people know that he's too demented now. Who do we put in there? Oh, okay, let's stick Kamala in there. But it's the same people running the show that's been running it with Biden if Kamala wins. So, and whoever it is very anti-crypto, like go after everything you can. So if Trump wins, I think the things get cleared and there's regulatory clarity and probably clarity that you could rent your dang NFTs. I mean, could you rent out your baseball cards? Probably. So why can't you rent out your NFTs?
Okay.
Agreed.
So one of like the main title, right, of our episode is OMIto NFT. And we finally are going to be talking about it with our special guest. Little drum roll, please. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Foster Hill.
Curtains open.
I had to see a collective disappointment fell over the chat. They're like, oh, I thought you had someone awesome on, but it's just that guy. What's going on, gents? Good to see you all.
What's up, Foster?
We had kind of let the secret spoil a little bit there. I was on O'Milly's space, and they were doing an overview of how to buy OMI on Stacker and breaking down kind of the platform and how easy it is to use. And I go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be on Doc's space right now, or on Doc's channel right now. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess the 100+ people now know who's going to be there. So hopefully they start filtering in here as well. Shout out to O'Milly and Emoji for putting on that space. And I know they're going to direct people here now that they're done theirs. But yeah, how are you guys doing tonight? How are we feeling about the most kind of recent set of announcements to come out of VeVe and Ecomi land?
Love it. It's been great. Bullish news all around.
Really? Yeah, it's a good, I try and, you don't always have good days where you get to celebrate things. And, I kind of put out a post the other day where I was talking about that. And, sometimes you just gotta take a step back and realize that things don't always go well. Things don't always go to plan. Right. And so when you have something that goes to plan and it goes right, sometimes you just gotta take a step back. You gotta celebrate it. Right. It's the job is not done by any stretch of the imagination, but to after 3+ years, finally have genuine OMI utility for the token and have anyone that's a VeVe user can now sign up for a Stacker account in 30 seconds and start utilizing OMIto NFT to buy VeVe collectibles, it's a cool feeling. And I know a lot of you guys have been here for just as long as I have, and this was a long time coming. And so it's really awesome to see the reception that we've seen in the community has been, incredibly positive. There's been the occasional hiccup with people being able to connect and things like that, but by and large, everyone's been having a great time. People have been, testing, they've been doing transactions, they've been, taking advantage of it. Several million OMI has been permanently removed from the circulating supply already, which was incredible to see. And yeah, it's just great to see the community really rally around this announcement and get ready to take advantage of kind of this full feature.
So I got to ask you this question, which I think is a fair question, right? So, well, hold on. First of all, let me give you your flowers. Massive congratulations, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, great job, Stacker." It's like, oh, well, okay, hold on. Great job, Stacker, OMI, and VeVe teams together, right? Like this was all a massive collaboration between those three entities. It had to be. So and it's exciting, man. Like I've been in the beta, and it was funny, man. People were kind of trying to game here. I was like, I thought we were trying to help out, and like, so I'd be listening like some of these comics low key for super low OMI, imagining that they would then relist it for the same, and we could just, because it was all to try to test the system. And I quickly found out that people didn't want to play that game necessarily. But hey,
yeah.
It was cool because it's sometimes, right, like I know that Crypto Cosmo and a couple other people were able to kind of just list, certain things for just like 100 OMI, just to try to stress test, right? But now that we've got the public beta, I think that's so important to see that activity and how the system handles, right, that flow of all of the transactions and things, how it's processing through the blockchain with the transactions. I think that's super important to get to this level. And so this question here, right, is when Disney for OMIto NFT, right? So right now there's a limited amount of IPs that are doing the beta testing. And I don't know what you can speak to or not, and obviously, but is there anything that you could provide related to when potentially we could see other IP join in this beta, or do we have to get it out of beta before they come over, or are there some that even after like the beta is over that might still not join OMIto NFT for forever? I don't know. It'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that people kind of understand the process that we've gone through, and it's been kind of interesting. When I was alpha testing this kind of back in July, right? Like no one knew that Stacker Marketplace even existed. No one knew that it was coming. But we were kind of at the point where we were ready to ship on and deliver, into private beta. We were doing transactions of like just for fun because the API hadn't been synced with Stacker and VeVe yet. So the processes were running on Stacker, but they weren't actually going to the blockchain on VeVe, getting the approvals, doing the transactions. So Dr. Profit and I were having some fun testing it, and we were listing like secret rare miles for like 10 OMI and like all these fun things that are like the most expensive collectibles because we knew it wasn't gonna go through. But it shows in my transaction history that I was doing all these things because it still shows the transaction history. So it went live at one point, and then we were transacting back and forth in private beta, but before the private beta group had even been invited into the private beta group. And we were doing some transactions back and forth. And then someone contacted someone who reached out to me, and they're like, "Oh, there's this like insider trading going on. There's a lot of transactions moving." And so I sent them the screenshot, and I was like showing them, and it was like, yeah. I was trading a secret rare miles for 10 OMI. You caught me. But we were just like looking at all these transactions and how foolish they would be had the system been live. So, part of the reason that you don't have all of the IP and brands included, and this is not a confirmation to say all of them will be included, but just as a generalization, as you go through an iterative process, when you're building anything, you're stress testing anything, you want to make sure that everything functions correctly. You want to make sure that you can put your best foot forward before you move to the next iteration of anything. So, when we were in the private beta, very small subset of licensors and IP available, because the idea was not, in your instance, you were listing for 100, OMI, which was a fraction of a dollar, and something may have been worth more than that. But the idea was not, hey, I can pick up this cheap collectible from someone else in the beta. It was, hey, if I list this collectible for 100 OMI, does X amount of that OMI get put into the smart contract for the burn wallet? Does it get put in the smart contract for the licensor fee? Does it get put in the smart contract for the marketplace fee, for the VeVe fee, whatever the fees are, right? Does all of that happen in the back end correctly? Smart contracts. So now you've clicked buy. Can I immediately go in and click buy and steal that transaction from you? Or can you list the same collectible that you already had listed again before it clears on the VeVe side? And now you can spam sell your same collectible 10 times for a really good deal. People come and snipe it, and it turns out only one of them gets it, but 10 transactions went through and you just ran off with a bunch of people's own, right? So we need to be not, it's probably going to work. We need to be 100% confident that this is going to work before we do that. And as a part of that too, you don't want to add in licensors who would have a heyday with their IP getting involved in some sort of scandal because people didn't get their money or whatever the case may be. So you need to be 100% confident that these systems and processes function as intended before you move forward. So, we were in private beta. I think someone posted, they said it was for 69 days. Not nice. Intentional, but also hilarious. That we were in private beta for 69 days. And, in that period, we were really able to test a lot of these functions and features. But one of the things that we weren't able to test was stress testing, right? And one of the other really interesting things that we weren't able to test that people don't realize is that this was all done in a live environment. The second that we synced the API with VeVe to the Stacker marketplace, everything that was happening on chain. So when we had the auth that you needed, the username and password to log into Stacker, and we had the whitelist on VeVe, that was to ensure that someone didn't come along and snipe a listing that they weren't supposed to snipe, that they didn't get access to things that they weren't supposed to get access to, but it was still a live system. And we don't have a test environment for these things. So when we removed all of these things on Monday, we were kind of just all sitting around collectively going, I really hope removing this authorization and removing the whitelist doesn't completely break the system, which is also part of the reason we didn't deploy comms on it right away, because we wanted to test it for a little bit to be like, hey, is this good before we announce it? Because the last thing we want to do is put out a tweet to 150, 200,000 people and say, hey, we want you to come test this, and then have it completely, the bed. So, as we work through this integration of public testing, so we're not in a beta anymore, but we're public testing. So now it's available to everyone, but it's a test, right? So do issues still happen in tests? Absolutely. So how do we figure out what issues people are having? And some people have been having issues syncing their VeVe account with Stacker. They've had issues linking them. Now, we've kind of identified some of the issues. Stacker thinks that they're going to be able to deploy a fix later this week. But in the interim, the advice that we've been giving to people, and for anyone that's watching this right now, clear your cache on your web browser or use incognito mode. It seems to fix the issue. Other major issue people have been having is, for whatever reason, sometimes the wallet, the Stacker embedded privy wallet, doesn't load. Refresh the web page, fixes it. Those are the main two issues that they've been having. Teams are working on it. I'm confident they'll have it resolved. But you never know what it's going to look like, right? I was literally sitting there all day going, what am I going to say when it's live for 30 minutes and then goes down for 48 hours because the whole thing just exploded, right? So thankfully, I think it went down for about an hour overnight on Monday night, like 4 a.m. EST. Don't even really think anyone noticed, to be honest, at least not that I saw comment-wise. But the really cool thing now is, like, if anyone's watching this stream right now live, you can literally go to the Test24 website, sign up for a Stacker account if you don't already have one, or if you already have one, log in and actually make transactions with OMI, which is, it's just a surreal feeling to be at this point. And so will we see more IP added? Will we see more brands added? Absolutely. But we want to get to a point where we don't have to go, hey, there's a 50-50 chance that this isn't going to crap the bed in the next 24 hours. It's going to be running the whole time, and we can be confident of that. And then once we've seen that the smart contracts are facilitating things correctly, once we've stressed and load tested it further, once we've worked out some of the edge cases that people have been experiencing and identifying to the teams, then we can feel more comfortable moving forward with, all right, let's roll in additional brands and IPs that may get more traction or eyes associated with them to make sure that when those people are coming in for those experiences, they're getting the best possible experience that they can, because you only get one chance to make a good first impression. So if we roll out everything all at once and then it doesn't work, people aren't going to come back and use it.
So what I heard from that is probably 2 weeks, and then we'll get Disney, OMIto NFT.
You heard whatever you wanted to hear, buddy. I'm not barking up that tree, but no, like I said, we want to make Stacker an accessible platform for people, but we also want to make it a platform that people want to utilize, right? So if only 5% of the brands and IP are on Stacker, then people aren't going to utilize it, right? So we're cognizant of that. We're aware of that. Everyone up to and including David, Ben, and Dan are aware of that. So they've been working hard to make arrangements and agreements with as many licensors as they can to make sure that they are included in this. But like I said, we're just doing our due diligence to make sure that everything is functioning the way that it should before we integrate that further. But yeah, it's fun. It's a cool kind of experience to have, and the feedback that we've been getting from it, has by and large been very positive from people. And there's just a ton of really cool integrations and features that Stacker is going to be able to incorporate for us that are yet to come, that we're really going to be able to start to work on. Fiat onboarding options, the ability to bridge your OMI from your IMX wallet to VeVe wallet with one click, social integrations and things that they're working on, leaderboards, and all these different things that are maybe not day one priorities, because you need to make sure the whole system functions and doesn't just completely shut off on you. But Stacker's even added in a ton of great social and security features, like everything so far as having passkey protection for your Stacker account, being able to export your Privy wallet so that you can remove it from the platform if you want, being able to hide or include your name from leaderboards or from transactions, being able to see the floor price relative to VeVe collections when you're browsing the Stacker platform, being able to see OMI listings on the VeVe web app. Like, what, right? Like, for months and months, people were like, oh, I don't understand how this Stacker thing's even linked. It's a completely different platform. I'm never going to hear about it. And it's like, guys, you're literally going to be on the platform looking at Adani or whatever, and you're going to click on it and you're going to see two listings. One of them's going to be in gems. One of them's going to be in OMI. And you, as the consumer, are going to have the ability to decide which one makes the most sense for you, which one do you have the most liquidity under, or which one do you want to partake in? And whether it's the benefits of the saving on the 10% cash out as a seller on the OMI side, or whether it's specific drop rewards that you may earn for utilizing OMI, whether it's exclusive OMI only drops that you could eventually get access to, whether it's additional MCP points that we can give out, whether exclusive accessories. Like, we have an entire rewards program that can be built out around having self-custody OMI. You don't even have to have it on the VeVe app. You can retain control of the keys to your crypto while still actively being rewarded on the platform, which is just, it's going to be a really, really awesome system. And this was kind of the foundational level that needed to exist before it could get built upon. But I mean, just having this here now, like I said, after such a long period of time, and the patience, the incredible patience that the community has shown, it's just, it's hard not to smile and be excited. So
I have to show this comment, but before I do, I have to give the context again, where you were explaining to people, like, if they're having issues connecting their VeVe account with Stacker app, that they need to clear their cache, right? And Slider's saying, listen, VeVe's already cleared out all of my cache. I thought that was great. Hey, I wanted to address a question here. Shout out to Mo Collections, constantly supporting the channel. And he says, how will this process through Stacker be considered compliant with SEC, right? Because I think that there's some people, one, who are just like, oh, OMI, like VeVe's ditching OMI, right? Like, they're completely kicking it out of the app. They want it separate. They want nothing to do with OMI. And I'm like, come on now, right? Like I mean, yeah. To a certain extent, like, are they clearing, like, the use of OMI off of the VeVe app? Sure. But do they want nothing to do with OMI? No. OMI token is a utility token for VeVe, right? Like, so But why? Why is this on Stacker? Like, how is this compliant? Or we've talked about this a little bit, but for Mo, who maybe hasn't heard, like when we've discussed this before, why do you think that this will be considered compliant with the SEC?
Absolutely. So I want to pose a question to Mo and then answer my own question. What about it being on Stacker would lead you to believe that it would not be compliant? And then I want to follow that up with, paying attention to the ecosystem as a whole. And to be clear, Mo, that I'm being facetious. I think it's a great question. But, we look at what happened with Dapper and Flow in the lawsuit that happened with them and the settlement that they ended up doing. I think it was $4 million. And then we look at a lot of the licensed digital collectible ecosystems that exist. So whether it be Cryptoys or McFarlane as an example, they all use third-party marketplaces. And the reason behind that is, well, one of the reasons anyways, is we want you to have security of your assets, right? And this stems from regulations that haven't even necessarily been introduced yet, but are likely to come as a byproduct of things like FTX, where you had them being the issuer of a token, the medium of exchange, and the exchange partner when it came to Alameda Research as an example, right? So by having your OMI in your own self-custody wallet, you provide yourself that security and assurance that you control your assets. And by having collectibles available on a third-party marketplace like Stacker, you're also ensuring that VeVe is not the end-all to be-all in all of this, right? So by having your own custody of your tokens, by completing the transaction on a third-party medium marketplace, you're ensuring compliance by just operating as a business should, right? Like, you're giving the consumer choices as to where they want to purchase things. You want to purchase something on VeVe, purchase something on VeVe. You want to purchase something on Stacker, purchase something on Stacker. But by having the custody of your own OMI tokens in a wallet that you control, VeVe is not the custody provider of those tokens. They're not actively rewarding or incentivizing you for you custodying your tokens on that platform, right? Now, you're going to get rewards and you're going to get incentivized, but it's going to be on your own terms in your own wallet. And you're going to decide whether or not that's something you want to enter into voluntarily. Now, technically on VeVe, that's something that you enter into voluntarily as well. There's no lockup periods. You can withdraw at any time without penalty. So it'd be fine either way, but this way you're really providing a kind of a holistic overview of a system that from beginning to end follows through with everything that it should in order to be as robust as possible and leave as few questions in the minds of anyone that may or may not come asking that the token is exactly what you say that it is. And when we say that OMI is a utility token, well, historically it's been a utility token because you earned rewards for utilizing the token. But now it's a utility token from beginning to end, because from the moment that you acquire it, you can utilize it for the utility, which is to get a collectible. That's the utility behind it. So there's a lot of nuance to it. I'm not a lawyer. Obviously, I'm not a legal expert, and I don't ultimately make those decisions. But there was many benefits to allowing this to happen, even so far as liability goes for VeVe, right? Like, VeVe doesn't want to have to be in charge of your OMI either, because if something happens with VeVe and then you can't get your OMI, or even if VeVe goes down for an hour, so maybe people go, I want access to my OMI, right? Like, so now you have full control over it. You can export your wallet directly off of Privy. If you're having issues with Privy, if you're having issues with Stacker, you can export your wallet, enter in the private key on Coinbase. You can enter it in on Uniswap, enter it in on MetaMask, Phantom Wallet, and any Rainbow connected wallet you can utilize, and you can access all of your funds directly in there. So it's just a better solution that exists, and it provides that clarity for users, and it also it's just a better system. Like using the IMX system, very grateful to IMX for the bridge that they built for us and everything that they did, but it's not great in today's day and age. Like, having to pay gas fees twice, having to bridge, wait 10 hours for a roll up. I've seen people have to wait multiple days. Sometimes it gets congested, tokens get stuck. Whereas with the Stacker wallet, with Privy, it's directly integrated with the Relay Bridge, the partnership that we had announced last month. And so you can actually directly onboard or offload crypto to and from the base layer in 20 seconds. And if you're transacting on the base layer on Stacker, all of those transactions, whether you're swapping, in the OMI ETH pool, or you're completing a transaction in the Stacker marketplace, all of those transactions are 100% sponsored via gas. by Stacker directly. So you only have to have OMI from beginning to end in order to transact. So for us, it made the most sense. It's a very elegant solution. It gives users the control and access that we're looking for them to be able to have, while still rewarding and allowing them to participate in the VeVe ecosystem.
Love that. So Zomo Collections kind of just says, "Hey, awesome. I have no idea about compliance. Just been seeing the compliance headlines with other NFT companies. Thanks for the explanations." Right.
Well, and I think all companies too, like we learn from each other in the space. And one of the things that VeVe didn't have a benefit of historically was that they had a first mover advantage, which inherently is a benefit because you're here before anyone else, but that also allows anyone that comes after you to learn from the mistakes that you're making or things that you're maybe not doing so well. And I hate to call it a problem because anyone that's listening to this is going to go, "Oh, he's not encouraging communication." It's not that, but it's that when you communicate things ahead of time, right? You've basically given the master plan. You've given people the key to the city about, hey, here's the roadmap on how to be successful. And so people want to see VeVe be successful, but they also want to overtake them. If you're a competitor, you want to overtake VeVe. You want to overtake Ecomi, right? Because you want to be successful. But if you don't know what the person's next move is, then you don't get the benefit of watching it. And then one day you just wake up and you go, "Oh, they changed the game." And so that's really kind of what we've moved towards, is we've also been able to learn from other companies and businesses that are doing things in the space, right? Because now other people have integrated features or functions or things that the community's been able to provide feedback on. "Hey, we'd love to see this," or "Ooh, we don't like how this platform does this." And we can use that to inform the decisions that we make on our end, but we can also do it quietly behind the scenes. And then when we roll out a feature, people go, "Oh, sweet, I was waiting for this." And I think one of the coolest things that I've experienced so far is that by and large, anyone that has experienced Stacker has gone, "Oh, wow, this exceeded my expectations." And that's really what we're going for, right? It's like, I can promise you the world. I could tell you, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this," everything, whatever. But at the same time, it's not tangible. It doesn't deliver on anything. Whereas if you can just wake up one day and, like I said, "Hey, OMI NFT's here now," and you go, "Oh, wow, wasn't expecting that." And I've literally seen people's comments on socials where they're like, "I didn't even think this was a thing. I didn't think this was ever going to be a thing." And it's like, yeah, well, it's here now. And you get to have that excitement. It's like a kid waking up on Christmas. You just don't know what to expect. So that's exciting. And I hope to be able to deliver on more of those feelings for people moving forward as well. So
go ahead. Well, Randy, check the private chat real quick. In the meantime, look, like here's the other thing that I'm super excited about, right? People, like, there are whales out there. I made a tweet where there was a couple of collectibles that I was trying to list on the VeVe app and just like weren't moving, and then I actually listed them for OMI, and they got bought up like immediately. And that's the thing, is I do think that there's people with like a lot of OMI that are just like, "Look, I put a lot of money into OMI. I'm just going to chill with it." And, but man, if there's some collectibles that hit and I can use my OMI to buy them, like Spider-Man Secret Rares, I think that we're going to actually see some pretty massive sales of some of those OG collectibles. So it'll be very interesting to see there. So again, in 2 weeks when that happens, it'll be really exciting. But one of the things, Foster, that I have said, right, is, and like I always try to straight shoot with people, and I've criticized VeVe and OMI in the past, or Ecomi in the past, not for like necessarily like major things, but if I've like, "Hey, like I have questions about this, or there's concern about this," I've constantly said that I think that one of the big hurdles has been getting that utility, the true utility of the token, because people are like, "Oh, like David said that OMI is, his focus this year, and yet we're not seeing anything." And I'm like, look, I've said multiple times, I think OMI to NFT is so crucial to everything else that they want to build, that now that that's here and you can truly say OMI is a utility token, my expectation would be that the team can now talk a little bit more freely about the token, right? Just in general about things like, and that there can be, I don't know if it's like necessarily like marketing, but just bringing up the token at events and talking about the token and how it's in combination, how it can use this token now in the VeVe app. I guess I can't see any other roadblocks now that this has been released.
Yeah, absolutely. You're completely right. And I think people are going to start to see, obviously we're pretty late in the year now, but there's still certainly some time for some fun things to happen. But, certainly as we come into 2025, with this renewed focus on OMI, and I think at this point, there's really no denying that OMI is a focus, right? Like I think the results are certainly speaking for themselves at this point. But I think, as more and more resources continue to get dedicated to the development of OMI features and utilities, as Stacker continues to build out their team to roll out more utilities, and as we continue to work alongside them in order to do so, it does open up a lot of doors. And you're right, like for a lot of people, and I'm not naive to it, right? Like my role as community manager is to kind of be positive, but I'm also not naive, right? Like people look at me as a moon boy, but the reality is, like, I'm very much aware of our shortcomings, and I'm not going to pretend like they don't exist. But at the same time, I'm also not going to go out of my way to acknowledge them, right? Because what's the purpose of that, right? Like you don't need to see me being negative, but if I'm being quiet, it's because there's nothing to talk about, and now I have stuff to talk about, right? So now you can get excited because there's only so many times that I can tell people, hey, you have VeVe you have OMI in the VeVe app. You can earn bonus MCP points, and people go, well, I don't care about MCP points. Okay, well, what do you tell them at that point, right? Well, you can earn bronze tickets. Well, what can you do with bronze tickets? You can get more MCP points. Okay, don't care about that either. Okay, fair. Exclusive airdrop. Oh, okay. Well, I just put my OMI on this season. Oh, yeah.
I like the
airdrop. We're not doing that. We're not doing that this season.
Just saying.
Oh, okay. Okay. But now it's, hey, you really like this collectible. And I'm just using Spider-Man as an example because it was your most recent comment. It's not a confirmation of anything, but you had it up as a Spider-Man, right? So let's say hypothetically Spider-Man is available as a whatever, right?
In 2 weeks. Hypothetically.
You can go out and you can use fiat to acquire OMI, right? It's a little bit more of a convoluted route at this point than it will be in the future. Fiat onboarding is a priority for Stacker. It's a priority for us.
Can you,
right now,
hold on. Talk about that. Can you please talk about fiat onboarding? Explain what that means. This is a very, very big deal. Fiat onboarding into Stacker. Like, why are you looking confused? What are you talking about?
Did I say that? Fiat onboarding? No. Yeah.
It's in the Medium article, so you didn't spoil anything.
No. I know. I'm just, I'm playing it. I'm downplaying it. The great thing about fiat onboarding. So to kind of, I'll answer that question in one moment. So just to explain to people right now the process and how it works. Just so we know, when we talk about fiat, we're talking about US dollars, euro, Canadian dollars. You're talking about fiat currencies, right? So if you're looking to onboard into crypto currently, if you wanted to acquire the OMI token today from fiat, probably the best route that you're going to go through in order to do that is sign up for Coinbase if you don't already have a Coinbase account. Reason I recommend Coinbase is because Coinbase is available for US users as well, which a lot of our user base is. Sign up for a Coinbase account, link a credit card or a bank account. Figure out what your limits are, KYC, do all of that, and then buy USDC. Buying USDC on your Coinbase account, you can send it off on any network that is supported by Coinbase. Really nice thing about Coinbase and the fact that they have this little layer called Base, which may or may not be the layer that OMI Utility is built upon, is that they allow you to send Base off of Coinbase for free. So you can send USDC off of Base with no gas fees. So let's say you buy $100 worth of USDC on Coinbase on the Base network. You can send it to your Stacker Privy wallet on Stacker for free because it's a Base transaction. And then you can swap it on your Stacker Privy wallet into OMI using the OMI Ethereum pool for free because it's gas sponsored. And then you have OMI. Now, if you already have a Coinbase account, you're already KYC'd, this whole process takes about 4 minutes. It takes longer if you don't have a Coinbase account. You have to sign up, you have to KYC. But once you've done that the first time, it's done. But for the average person, that's still complicated, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
when you look at the flow of VeVe, for an example, if you want to buy a gem and you have a VeVe account, you go into your profile, you go add gems, you select the amount of gems, you pay with your credit card, it's done. It's a very simplistic process. Now, for most crypto people, going that route's not super complicated. If you already have cryptocurrency it's even potentially a more simplistic process because as long as you have it on the base network, any token on base, to be clear, it can be degen token, it could be Brett, it could be some token I've never heard of, it can be USDC, it can be Ethereum. As long as it's on the base network, you can swap it in the OMI Ethereum pool. It's just you'll have more slippage. If the liquidity for the token that you're swapping is terrible, it's some token that no one's ever heard of and no one transacts in it, you're going to get a terrible price. But any token that's on base, you can swap directly into OMI in the Privy wallet. So it's one step and it's done. Two, I guess, you have to send it to yourself. But what we're really working on the fiat side is we want to make it very easy for people to be able to acquire the OMI token. And this will be an iterative process. The first iteration will likely look something like buying USDC with a credit card on your Privy wallet, and then using the OMI ETH pool to swap that USDC into OMI. The reason being, we don't have enough liquidity currently on any major exchange in order to deal with market making the volume associated with buying OMI directly. Because if you're buying OMI directly, it needs to be market made by somewhere. You need to offset that buy pressure with sell pressure and vice versa. So right now would likely not be feasible, but for now, we're looking at buy USDC or Ethereum for that matter, any token with a very high level of liquidity that a market maker can support. You'd be able to buy it directly with fiat currency. There are several providers that Stacker's looking into working with that would facilitate this service for you. You'd be able to do it directly on the Stacker platform. It would basically be as simple as the process that you go through now to buy gems on VeVe, just with the one additional step of swapping it into OMI after the fact. But eventually we will get to the point where, we are on exchanges that have enough liquidity to support that volume. And you will be able to purchase OMI directly with fiat, which will be, absolutely massive because I think what a lot of people overlook with OMI being a utility token, because I think a lot of the people that look at OMI look at it through the lens of a word that I'm not going to use, which is perfectly fine. But when you look at a utility token, for the average person, if VeVe is going to be successful as a platform long term, if it's going to get any form of mass adoption, if people are going to come in, they're going to utilize it. If they're going to get 1 million, 2 million, 50 million users one day, even if it's 10 years plus down the road, whatever the case may be, if they get to that any level of adoption, when was the last time that you played a video game? When was the last time that you went on Fortnite or Call of Duty and bought V-Bucks or COD points or whatever the case may be? There's no value associated with that. It's an in-app currency. You buy it, you utilize it. It is what it is. For the vast majority of people, the likely outcome is, hey, I really want this Spider-Man statue. Once again, just because you used it earlier, I really want this Spider-Man statue. It costs me 20 million of these little OMI things. How much is it going to cost me to get 20 million of these little OMI things in my fiat currency? Oh, it's going to cost me X. Yep, I'm willing to pay that amount. Cool. Market maker, one click. They'll facilitate the purchase for you. There'll be a bit of slippage, so you'll get a little bit more than 20 million OMI because they want to make sure the transaction doesn't fail with price fluctuations, probably 1% to 2% at the absolute max. Buy it directly with OMI. Person that sold it directly gets the OMI. Problem solved, right? So that's the direction that we're moving in. Is this a tomorrow solution? No. It's not. It's an iterative process, as with all things, but we can make things very simple, and we intend to make things very simple. So when I talk about accessibility comes in many forms, this is what I mean, right? And so you couple bigger exchange listings with fiat onboarding solutions that can support that liquidity, and you're also driving interest while marketing at the same time. And it really just becomes like a full circle type of thing where one begets the other, because if you have 10 million VeVe users, you've now marketed OMI to 10 million people. And where the disconnect has existed currently is there's been no tangible reason for VeVe to market OMI as a utility token because there was no value proposition behind the rewards that you were receiving on VeVe for using it. So they didn't have an incentive to promote it. And we didn't have an incentive to promote it because it was such a pain to get onto the platform to actually utilize it. And people identified that. We had 14,000 people in the last round of OMI rewards. But the number could easily be 2, 3, 5x that amount when you account for the active VeVe user base over the last couple months, just because it is simple to use. And that's the missing ingredient that has not existed to date, that is really our focus for the rest of 2024 and into 2025 and beyond, is when we talk about accessibility and utility, what does that actually mean, right? Like, it's great, they're catchwords and stuff, but it's really just ease of use from the utility that you get, ease of use from the accessibility, and it just makes everything a lot simpler and a lot more enjoyable. And I think people will utilize it. And that was the main feedback that I was seeing before people saw the platform was, oh, this stacker thing's too complicated, I'm not even going to bother checking it out. But when you actually give it a chance and realize how simple it is to sign up, and you see how connected it is to the VeVe platform, from everything from being able to see the listings directly on VeVe to being able to one click off of VeVe directly into Stacker to buy the listing, it's really not as complicated as I think people had envisioned it. And it's not nearly as disconnected as people make it out to be either. And that'll come in future iterations where people see, like I said, exclusive OMI rewards that you'll want to be an OMI user in order to take advantage of. And we have the ability to build out a whole host of features and benefits that people will want to take advantage of to hold this thing called OMI, that's the utility token on the VeVe platform.
Sorry, real quick, and I know Randy has this question. I might have misspoke here. My understanding is that base OMI is the only OMI that's can be utilized on Stacker to purchase NFTs. Because basically, Chago Solis says, can I send OMI from my Coinbase wallet to Stacker? I have both OMI on Base and ETH network. And I said, you can only send your Base OMI to Stacker. I mean, I know that the Privy wallet itself is like ERC20, like you can do that. So it will go over there, but that the ETH OMI will not be able to be used on, like, to purchase NFTs, right? Or am I wrong on that?
So right now it will only be Ethereum on base layer 2 because all the transaction costs are sponsored right, and are fully promoted through the Stacker Privy wallet. Because the issue becomes, like, eventually, so just to kind of give people the idea of, like, because we've considered these things, right? So, like, we could create a pool of OMI where people pay with layer 1 OMI. We have a pool of layer 2 OMI. The equivalent amount gets sent to the person on layer 2. And every so often we bridge 1 billion OMI one way or another, wherever the low liquidity side lies, right? So we have the ability, in theory, to accept it on both layers. But for the simplicity of the system, at least at the beginning, it will only be on base layer 2 because it's just an easier reward system. Everything has been abstracted for the gas fees. They're sponsored. It's all taken care of. But eventually, if you only have, Ethereum on layer 1 and you wanted to do that, it's possible that that's something that is facilitated. You do have the ability to bridge directly on okay. Oh, I think Ernest is saying it right now. Perfect. Yeah. So you do have the ability to there is a bridge button in your Stacker Privy wallet that will allow you. It uses the relay .link bridge, which is Relay is the collaboration that Ecomi partnered with, I think at the end of last month, that we released an article about, and we've provided some liquidity to their platform. And they basically just it shows up as a bridge, but it's really just you give them 10 OMI on Ethereum, and then they give you 10 OMI on base, and then they manually balance with the liquidity that they've been provided. Oh, this side is low, we're going to send this back. And then they take a very small fee on both sides, and that just helps them kind of market make the costs. And Stacker could theoretically do the same thing between layer 1 and layer 2 OMI, directly integrated with Relay as more liquidity is provided. But really, I put out a tweet about this earlier today. I really want people to get away from wanting to utilize layer 1 tokens, because just in general, incurring gas costs is money out of your pocket. That's money. Like, even if the gas cost is $5, Well, you could buy multiple comics on VeVe for $5 in the secondary marketplace. So why would you want to just throw that away on gas when you can use gasless sponsored fees on base directly and interact on that platform? So
yeah, I do. I appreciate that, man. I think and that's who wants to pay $10 in gas to buy a $2 Toki Doki.
yeah.
It's true. And like I had just been like, in my mind, I knew that Privy could hold ERC20 tokens, but I just didn't think that it was, and it's not. You can't use layer 1 OMI to purchase things, but I didn't know that there was a bridge button there. But there is a cost. There's a cost to bridge those, right? There's an ETH fee there, and that's why it's like all trying to be on base, because then it's basically free, and that's the way to onboard it. So, anyways, before I turn it over to Randy with his question that he's been holding so patiently for like 20 minutes, what I heard is the ability to basically purchase OMI directly on Stacker app within the next 2 weeks. So that'll be awesome. Stoked to hear that. So, okay, Randy, you had an awesome question. Go for it.
I actually forgot it, but you just reminded me of something else. So I'm no better than to ask about timelines, but when we're talking about the fiat to OMI and then talking about certain bridges, like there's going to be a bridge where you have bridge it from your web wallet over to Stacker. Again, I don't want timelines, but I was just curious on, hey, this is priority A, this is priority B, priority C. Is there a way that we might be able to get that? Like, we don't know a timeline, but we know that this is coming first and this is second and third and fourth.
As so far as Stacker goes?
Would we get the bridge from the VeVe wallet to Stacker wallet first, or would we get the fiat to OMI first? Or do we get something else first? I know there's a ton being built in the pipeline.
Yeah, no, there is a ton, and I'm involved in the conversations, but obviously Stacker, has their development team that's working directly with the VeVe and Ecomi internal devs, and so I don't necessarily keep up on the day-to-day timelines. I more so kind of step in when we're ready to launch features, and then I can work on kind of communications and how that information is conveyed. But if I had to guess, if I was a betting man, I would say that the IMX to VeVe bridge would be the priority. Well, not the priority, I should say. Will be the feature that's delivered before fiat onboarding, just because there's a lot more like fiat onboard. Like you need to get like a money transmitter license and stuff. Like Stacker has to apply for all that stuff. Like you need a ton of documentation. Like it's not just a fly-by-night kind of
MTO is horrendous.
Well, that's it. Like it's not just a fly-by-night operation, right? Where you just go, oh, hey, I'm just going to do this. It's like there's actual processes you need to go through to do it. So, I would, if I was a betting man, I would say that comes first. But in regards to kind of definitive timelines, like Stacker is constantly pushing out quality of life updates. And if you were in the private beta, you would see them, in the chats in the Discord being like, hey, we just pushed out this update feature set. Hey, we just did this. And so, it's a priority for them. The bridge is a priority for both parties because it incorporates VeVe, Ecomi, and Stacker all have kind of their each individual roles to facilitate that. So that's kind of like a very collaborative group effort. So, I'd say that in the immediate term is probably some of the more important priorities, but they also have a lot of things that they're working on as well. Just to improve quality of life and things like that, I'll let them speak on, because at the end of the day, it is their platform and I don't want to take all their thunder away from them because they have done a fantastic job at delivering thus far. But I just wanted to circle back very quickly because I pulled up the Relay bridge while you were asking your question, Randy. And you can currently send 10,000 OMI from Ethereum layer 1 to base layer 2, and you will receive 9,997 OMI. And it will take 2 seconds, and the cost is 33 cents.
That's too much. That's far too much.
But that gives you an idea for people. Like if you do have OMI on Ethereum and you want to send it to your Privy Relay wallet, not Privy Relay wallet, Privy base wallet on Stacker, it's really not that expensive, right? Like to swap into base and interacting on base. And once again, it takes literally, it says estimated 2 seconds. Like it's it's so fast. So it's really not a barrier to adoption. And once again, the $3 or $4 that you'll save by not interacting on Ethereum layer 1 is probably worth the 2 clicks and the 2 seconds anyways, right? So but yeah, I mean, Stacker has done a lot of really cool things, with their platform. I think that they're working on mobile optimization as well right now. Because right now I think some people are realizing like using it on mobile is a little bit more like it's not fully optimized for mobile. Like it was designed as like a web platform, but you can use it on mobile. I use it on mobile. And I personally had no issues with it, but that is something that they're working on. But yeah, there's just going to be a lot of fun, like I said, features and rewards and utilities that people, have mentioned. Flippy just made a comment where he said, will we get the Stacker logo from VeVe? Like those are cool things that can eventually be integrated, right? Like doing exclusive drops and getting exclusive accessories and things that you only get from utilizing Stacker and being connected to VeVe and doing those types of things. So there'll be a ton of rewards and incentives for people to want to do it. And even if they don't, I think that they'll start to see the benefits behind doing it. So
there is something that I completely forgot. I have to apologize. We're still going to go for it, right? Because we announced last week that we started a 6-week collaboration. What the, Randy? Popping in and out of things. What's going on? With the Golden Dragon Club, and basically what they're doing is each week, right? We're going to start an OMI bid to burn OMI. Okay, and the winner, the person who commits to burning the most amount of OMI in the next 30 minutes that we're going to be on here will win as many MetaBrew, which is a Web3 brewing company based out of Germany, that they'll win as many MetaBrews as can fit in a U.S. Postal Service mailbox. So the 2 caveats are you got to be over 21 to win, and you have to be a U.S. resident because that's where it can ship to. So
I'm out.
U.S. residents. Well, listen, you guys get airdrops and stuff.
And here I was thinking I was just going to go into the business development fund, and but no, I'm out. I'm in Canada. Sorry, guys.
5 million OMI. So, guys, get in there and just make a bid in the chat, right, and then reach out to me. But again, and you can see my previous post. Go onto my profile and you can see there's a picture of the type of like MetaBrew. They've got some awesome IPAs and things so anyways, the last person that won last week bid $15 worth of OMI, and they sent it to the base. So they didn't even have to pay many fees, right, to send that to the base burn wallet. So guys, get in there. Big shout out to the Gold Dragon Club. I love the utility that the community continues to build out here. Like one of my favorite, like I won in the Ecomi red and silver logo Telegram group for those who own the Ecomi Secret Rare that was airdropped. One of the members there offered Steve Cannon. He's an incredible photographer. And he did this competition of people showed like pictures of wildlife that they had taken, and then people could vote on that. And I ended up winning. And it's this epic silverback gorilla that he got. Like he was like 15 feet away as he took this picture. And it's hanging on my wall. But like the community continues to just offer awesome utility here. And this is the Gold Dragon continues to do that. So I got to shout them out. One of the other things that they do is if you buy Gold Dragon on VeVe, and then you list it for sale for $88,000, you're entered into a monthly raffle to win OMI. Right, so there's different like awesome little utilities that the Gold Dragon Club continues to do, and this is one. So guys, I haven't checked the chat yet because I've been chatting, but I'm hoping that we start seeing some bids to burn some OMI on base or ETH if you want. But again, you're gonna have to pay that gas fee, so be aware of that. But get in those bids, fam. Get in those bids. I have a Gold Dragon that I've had there. I haven't won any OMI yet, but. Like, I just love that utility, and shout out to them. So anyways, Rain, you have been quiet for far too long. We need your wisdom and your comments. Do you have any questions for Foster or anything that we've talked about so far?
Just want to say, Foster, really good having you I'm glad they hired you. I didn't know who the hell you were until I saw your epic takedown of Paul Barron's article. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? He is so intelligent. Holy cow. I need to know who this guy is. So since those days, I've gotten much more familiar with you. Glad to have you in that seat. I'm sure it's been hard. The amount of OMI FUD has just been tremendous. And people who haven't been through multiple bear markets, they're just unused to these kind of things. It's like, oh my gosh. And the real complaint is, when is OMI going to go up? And still it's like, when is OMI going to go up? And it went up the last couple of days. But a lot of times you're building all these things and putting them into place. And so people have had concerns like, OMI can't be used for anything. And then you did, then it's like, if you held 10 million on your wallet, you got this totally secret drop and everything. And you started getting MCP points. So there was some utility, and people were like, that's not enough. What else? So this really big announcement, Stacker going live, is really big. And people will start to see that there is a use case for OMI. And the bearish mood that OMI has been in for 3 years now will flip around and go bullish. I got another comment on my channel earlier today. It's like, when will you finally accept that OMI is a dead token? It's like, probably never, because it's just going through a bear market. And so I'm glad to see like these huge staples come. Good work on all the coordination behind the scenes with the Stacker team. I'm really excited with what they're doing, that partnership. And I'm a huge fan of Dr. Profit. He's a genius. So I'm excited where this is going. And I'm a huge fan of OMI. I don't ever wear hats, but I like put this on a couple of times. I'm not really a hat person, but I had to get like 2 of these just because they were so.
But it looks good on you though. So
yeah.
No, you know what? And a huge shout out to Dr. Profit and for everyone that played a role. I don't think people realize, and I know Doc kind of said it at the beginning a bit, but I don't think people realize like how much of a team effort this was. And like this process started even before I joined, right? Like this has been a long time coming and in the making to make these arrangements, to make this a possibility. Reese was a big champion for it when he was the kind of the community lead back when he was there. And I saw someone give him, a shout out on socials earlier today. And I thought that was incredible. And I think that, he deserves a lot of respect for, I get to take credit for a lot of things that happen. And I've said this before on this show, right? Like OMI NFT comes out and I talk about it and people go, you're the man, Foster. Like, it's like, yeah, but I didn't build anything, right? Like I didn't build anything. I didn't do anything. Like this is a team effort. I'm very grateful and honored to kind of play my small role, but at the end of the day, there's so many, nameless, faceless people that people will never see that work so hard behind the scenes to make things like this possible. So that's why I said, when we first got on here, like sometimes you just got to take a step back and celebrate this for what it is. It doesn't mean that, the job's finished or that we've accomplished everything we've set out to do. But at the same time, I mean, if you're not excited about an announcement like this, then why are you here? Right. And I know why some people are here and I know why they're not excited about it, but like, that's not what we're building towards. That's not what we're building for. If things happen as a byproduct from great things that we do, I'm happy for people. Fantastic. But when people look back a year from now, I want them to be able to say unequivocally, this project and what it has delivered upon is in a much better state than it was previously. And so as I come up, I'm a month and a bit away from when I first started this job. It took me a little while to get my sea legs underneath me and kind of get up to speed. I want to be able to look back on this and take some learning lessons about things that we did well, things that we, could do better. But I also want to be able to celebrate the wins for what they are. I want to be able to celebrate the BitGet and the MEXCs, even though they're not the sexiest of exchanges out there. I want to be able to celebrate the move to base and understanding 6 months ahead of time what that was going to look like for the community on a day like today, right? I want to be able to celebrate being in the private betas and drafting OMI utility rewards. I want to celebrate bronze tickets, not because of the useless utility that they have now, but because of the benefits that they're going to provide to people later, right? And so it's really fun to be able to have this discourse with the community and get the feedback and get ideas from really passionate people that are excited about the future of what exists in the ecosystem. There's a lot of people that get it. There's a lot of people that don't get it too, but I'm always happy to have the conversations and let people know kind of my thoughts. I'm happy to hear their thoughts. I generally only draw the line, when there's personal attacks, which, it's the internet and those things happen as well too. But, we don't have time for that kind of stuff. Like we're trying to build out, the future of utility for OMI on a platform that's really just never done anything like this before. And you can believe that we're not going to get it done or whatever, that's fine. But we're going to let our results speak for us, right? Like I could spend 40 hours a week talking, but I'd rather spend 38 hours building and 2 hours giving updates on where we're at. So, that's kind of where I sit with things. So
butters they have limited experience, if any at all, with development life cycles, right? So this is their first time paying really close attention to a company and just how long things take. And they just in their mind are like, why haven't you done this yet? And they don't realize all the complex parts that sometimes you got to figure out so many different parts to it. And there's so much coordination and like they just haven't paid attention to some kind of company like this before. And so they just don't know how difficult things are, how long they take. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you're way behind schedule. And it's just complaint after complaint, kind of like kids on the way to grandma's house. And it's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? No, 7 hours more, 10 minutes later. Are we there yet? No, And so with software development life cycles and project development life cycles, sometimes you don't even know that it's like 7 hours. Grandma's house is 7 hours away. You're like, it might be 7 hours. It might be 7 days. I don't know, Oh, that's not acceptable. How could you not know? And they just don't understand. And so they're backseat driving, of course. And oh, well, it's good. You can spend a little bit of time trying to educate some of them. But what I've learned, like on the show, we used to kind of try to answer those comments. After a while, we realized they're not even trying to understand it. They're just in a bad mood and they just want to argue with you. And there's nothing you could say that would change their mind. You can't like enlighten them. You can't share some epiphany with them that they're like, oh, I get it now. They're just in a bad mood and want to fight with you. So now we just ignore people like that.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And that's the thing. Like you can try and answer everyone, but like you said, some people are genuinely upset and have valid concerns, and you do your best to have conversations with them, even if you don't necessarily see eye to eye. And some people just like to see the world burn, and those people exist, and that's the joys of the internet. I want to quickly touch on, because I know Doc left this up because it probably warrants a response. The reason that OMIto Gem will not be a thing is because where is that backed by, right? So the issue with OMIto Gem is that you have OMI, which is not a stable coin, right? It's not a constant level. And then you have gems. So if you buy OMI, if you buy gems with OMI, well, now you need to sell down 100% of that OMI to back it 1-to-1 for the gems. So if people want to go out and buy $1 million worth of gems in a day, well, you've just created 100% of $1 million worth of sell pressure on OMI, which is just there's just no need for it. We're moving in a direction where, and I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. If we get to the point where people are utilizing the Stacker platform and they feel like they should be using gems, then I've failed at my job, because we're really going to get to a point where there's just, outside of primary market purchases of collectibles and whatever the case may be, there's really just going to be no reason to. It's going to be so simple to use OMI. It's going to be so simple to acquire OMI. There's going to be so many benefits to utilize OMI in the ecosystem that using gems just becomes a redundancy. Why do you want to pay a 10% cash out fee? Why do you want to have that? Why does VeVe want to have to back gems 1-to-1 on a platform like Android or iOS stores that are taking 30% of it, right? Like, it becomes a liability on the balance sheet. Why do they want to sit with millions of gems in the platform that people are going to utilize in the secondary marketplace, cash out, and then it just becomes a hole in their pockets, right? So if you only allow, and to be clear, I'm not saying that this is happening, but just in my mind, like, if you only have gems in the primary market, like, you don't have to have any concerns about anything, because it's like the only way that you can utilize them is to buy collectibles, and that's 1-to-1. And you may not even have a cash out option at that point. It may be fiat only. you buy gems, or maybe you don't even buy gems. You use fiat to buy collectibles, secondary market. Like I would love one day to see a secondary only market with OMI, right? Like I would, but we're not at that point right now where even if that was an intention, that it would be, I mean, it'd be feasible, but it wouldn't make sense, right? Like it's still too difficult to acquire OMI. There's still not enough liquidity for the token to support the mass onboarding that would take place from people converting from that. And there's still too much of a knowledge barrier with crypto in general to kind of make a transition like that. But I would love to be able to get to that point at some point. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Ultimately, that will be VeVe's decision as to how they proceed. It's their platform, and they ultimately, reserve the right as to how they proceed with that. But OMI is now currently and will only continue to be more integrated into the ecosystem, and by no stretch of the imagination is taking OMI out of a wallet that's in the VeVe ecosystem and putting it into a wallet that's still directly into the ecosystem via an API, but allows you self-custody, removing OMI from the ecosystem. It's just giving you the security, which anyone in Web3 has been asking for the last 2 or 3 years, while also allowing you all the rewards and benefits you would have gotten while you were on VeVe anyways. And we'll get to the point where you'll get even more than you would have gotten had you been on VeVe. And so that's...
Yeah, no, I appreciate you kind of explaining that. I think it's important for people to understand why, like, the mechanics behind why that doesn't make sense anymore, right? And I think that just as people get more and more educated about things, I try to do that, right? Constantly on this channel, we try to address people's questions. I've constantly talked about the regulatory uncertainty. Like the OMI has constantly been attacked. Why is OMI doing this? Why they stop the burns? Why is the token down? In fact, Wes is asking why the token's down now. It's like there's other tokens down as well, man. Like markets are going to be markets, Like I don't know what to tell you, but all VeVe and OMI can do is continue to add utility and use case to the token, and create reasons why people would want to use the token. And as they do that, demand will go up, right? And then potentially other things will happen because of that. And so shout out to the team for continuing to build there. And look, Rain had to peace out early. He was just saying in the private chat. I was trying to get him a chance to say goodbye, but he had to bounce too quickly. So he says, thanks everyone and goodbye. I promised him I'd say goodbye to you guys for him. And look, I know all the crap that you guys take. It's interesting. I was talking with a buddy of mine, right? Because there was a fudder who attacked Rain, I mean, the post was like, hey, they showed the OMI chart and they're like, where's our buy? Where should we buy in this chart? Like they're so clever. Because I mean, over the last few years, right, OMI's been going down, and for years we've been talking about how bullish we are on the token and how we're buying, and we've been buying at all of these different levels, right? And and I was like, why are people like that still around? Right, we had someone on here like in the chat that was just saying some things about VeVe, and I'm just like, as long as there are people who are passionate enough about disliking VeVe that they're so upset, they're emotionally tied, that they are literally investing one of the most precious resources they have, which is their time, to fund the project, I will continue to be bullish on VeVe and OMI. The minute that there are no more fudders because people have turned apathetic, they're like, I just don't care. Once that happens, then there's real concern. But as long as there's people who are out there that are literally so passionate about VeVe that they're going to spend so much time trolling, I'm like, you are actually one of the reasons that I am still bullish on this project, But apart from that, like this conversation, it turned to, because I used to kind of be like, look, I'm not going to block these people. I think it's important that I find, that if there's real questions being asked, but what I kind of started to let happen is like people like just allow people to continue to attack me, and like, whatever, you're an idiot for believing this token. I mean, just like sometimes pretty cruel stuff, right? And I was like, and I'll try to just logically explain to them, hey, listen, I've been investing for quite some time. I've been in the financial markets for quite some time. I've had a lot of success actually with a lot of different crypto projects. And here's my reasoning, right? And it goes absolutely nowhere with them. And my buddy was like, let me just ask you a question. Like, if someone that you just met randomly came up to you and started saying these things to you in person, would you just let them stand there? Or would you be like, yeah, I'm out of here, right? Like, I'm not going to take this crap. But for some reason, mentally, a lot of us just like, the Foster's disappeared for a second into
Where'd he
the
go?
ether. He's going to check on the blockchain, make sure everything's working there. So he's in the matrix. He'll be back. But anyways, oh, whoa. We're going to have another Foster. Wait, what? Oh, there he is. That was weird.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys. It said I had no internet connection. It just completely bugged me. But
you guys are playing musical chairs. But like,
yeah.
But where I was going with all of this is, guys, if people are attacking you on here, like, don't waste your freaking time. You wouldn't do it in person. Just block them and move on. For some reason, these people have to spend, like I said, their most valuable time. And the likelihood that those people are successful in crypto is like so freaking slim, because instead of going after the project and taking their time to look at the projects that they believe in that could do well, right? They're sitting there just like at the bottom dregs of society, like just like keyboard warrior attacking people on the internet. And I'm just like, if you're spending all your time doing this, like, you're obviously not improving yourself or like looking at other projects. So like, I really don't, you're not adding any value to anyone, right? So like, just goodbye. So that's my advice to you guys. And I posted this kind of like video, right, about the eagle and how like no birds attack the eagle except for the crow. And the eagle just is like, doesn't even bother to fight it. Dude, an eagle could destroy a crow, right? But instead it's just like, no, I'm just going to fly, and I'm going to fly higher until like the crow just can't even abide the oxygen levels up there that the eagle can. And the crow has to just fall off, right, and give up. And it just doesn't even necessarily pay attention to it, right? It doesn't waste its energy. Stop wasting our energy with these energy-sucking vampires that literally have nothing better to do than to just attack you for something that you're passionate about. Look, I'm not saying that like VeVe and OMI is going to ultimately succeed. I believe it will. It might not. There's so many like what ifs. There's so many probabilities. But like, I enjoy this. I enjoy the community and everything that they're building. I'm seeing this. I'm so bullish on it that like I'm going to continue to spend my precious time investing in something that I'm passionate about. So look, we got Kumo saying you brought a lot of alpha tonight, Foster. Appreciate that. Foster, I'd like to get your take. Right? I mean, you're a collector too. What do you think about this Black Penny drop?
I don't know how they managed to pull that off.
Right?
Like that's incredible. And like, when you think about it, it's what, 1840 or 1860? So somewhere in the mid 1840s.
I think so.
It was 1840. Like, where did you even get the stamps for that? Like, they just had them in well, once again, not financial advice, right? Like, but like, if you get one of those stamps, like, you got to figure those are worth like some money. Like, they're not, you're not getting a 50-cent stamp. Like, this is the first stamp. This is what made stamps. Like, this is the thing. So it constantly, you know what? I shouldn't even say it blows my mind because David is David, right? But what I will say outside of the stamp, and you guys might have already discussed this on the show, and I do apologize for that, but them bringing on Ben Rose as co-CEO, like, maybe it's just me, but like, that signals to me like, wait, you're going to give David even more time to go secure licenses and IP, right? Because this guy's running a company and also going around and get licenses and IP, but with a co-CEO that can look over kind of the day-to-day and make sure everything is functioning and that we're moving our priorities ahead. Like, Ben has a lot of expertise in running business. There's no denying that David is not an expert in a CEO, but he is a world-class securer of IP and digital rights. And he's done it physically. He's ever since he started, with his shop in New Zealand, and him being able to secure the Pokemon license from Alfred Kahn and everything that he's done over the last, 30 plus years. Like, what's going to happen when you like, it's like, you guys ever seen the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson? And like, she like develops like she had a bunch of illicit substances in her stomach, and it's this drug kind of like, you ever seen Limitless?
Yes.
kind of thing where like it like power. So like she has this stuff in her stomach that gets broken open and whatever, and it turns her into this like super powered like omniscient creature that just like sees the future and like turns into a supercomputer and takes over the world type of thing. And where I'm going with this, it all makes sense in a second.
Yeah, I'm like,
but
okay,
I just kind of picture like I picture David as like a mix of like Lucy and the Terminator, and just like every like powerful omniscient being, like mix Thanos and Lucy and Terminator and RoboCop all together. And then that's David going to get licensing stuff because he's dedicating 100% of his focus to it. So I just think that that's really cool. Like, I think that that's going to be really cool. I think that, you know, bringing Ben in, I've had an opportunity to interact with him and see him work and get his kind of perspective. And he just brings a collective kind of calm to the way that he approaches things. He's very methodical, very, you know, yep, this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to do it. Here's what, and very like, he speaks and you want to listen to him. You go, oh, okay, interesting. Oh yeah. Okay. And you can tell he has experience. You can tell he has experience being a leader. He has experience building companies in growth. And that's really his focus, right? He's talked about it from the day that the first AMA came out with him announcing it, was like, our goal is growth. Our goal is to deliver. Our goal is, you know, and I'm looking forward to watching him do that and being able to be a part of him doing that, kind of off to the side, obviously, but and seeing a renewed focus. Not that it wasn't already there, but even more so now, feeling like OMI is even more of a priority and more of a focus. So I think that that's really cool. I'm really excited to see all the things that VeVe does, because I don't get, you know, unless it's directly related to something we're doing with OMI, I don't hear about any of it, right? Like this stamp drop that was coming out, had absolutely no idea, right? Like it came out, and I was like, holy cow, that's cool. Like, I don't have access to drop calendars. I don't have access to what's coming out. I don't talk to the people on that side like, hey, what's coming up with this? Hey, did you secure this license? Like, none of that stuff is like, it's not my realm, right? So I get to find out about a lot of this stuff with you guys. And I kind of miss that, because on the Ecomi side, I don't get that as much, right? Like I know what's coming ahead of time. So I almost have to kind of tone it back and be like, oh yeah, it's fine. But with the VeVe stuff, I got to be like, oh yeah, this is awesome, because it's like, it's genuine reaction. Like, it's like, I had no idea that they could do this, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they continue to do it. You know, last year at New York Comic Con, partnering with Funko, you guys, I think, were both. Doc, were you there? I know Randy was there. I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Where? Which one?
Were you at NYCC for the Funko party unveiling? You were, right? No, you weren't. Okay.
I had booked a camping trip that I could not.
Okay, that's what it was. See, I couldn't remember because all the events blend together for me, but it was like, it was wild. Like that was and of course I didn't work for the team yet then, and it's so like, I can't wait. And spoiler alert, I'm coming to New York. So so
wait, you are coming?
I'm coming. Yeah.
Woo! Oh, yeah. I'm going.
You know what? I was a little bit of alpha, because people are always like, "Oh, what's the alpha?" Like, I was trying to arrange like how I was going to come with the company, and like we're going to arrange, because like obviously it's a VeVe booth, and I'm like, well, can I be like I'll be like a VeVe ambassador, and like I'll talk about it, whatever. And like we've just been so busy, like I haven't been able to get like the finalization on it. I was like, you know what? Out of pocket, I'm coming. I don't care. Like I don't need reimbursement. I don't need nothing. Like I need to be there. Like if you guys can, and you're watching this, or you're watching it back and it's before October 16th, which is when Comic-Con starts, you guys got to get out to New York. It's just such an eye-opening experience, whether you're sharing a bed with Randy Chavez, or walking through Times Square and having him recognized by the public, or trying to get into clubs and he's wearing a wife beater and they don't let him in. It's a whole they would not let you in. It's a whole incredible experience, and there's often community parties that happen as well there as well. Obviously, there's the VeVe party this year, that they drop tickets for on the VeVe app, and that's going to be a really cool thing. And this is a cool thing for me. Like, I have no idea what their intentions are with the tickets. I couldn't tell you. I genuinely do not know. So like, I'm super excited to see what they do with that. Like, do you get something out of it? Is it just an entry? Like, I have no idea, but it's fun. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to be curious, and it's fun to have that engagement. Like Doc was saying, you know, whether people are talking good about VeVe, whether they're talking bad about VeVe, good or bad about OMI, they're talking about it, and that's the biggest thing. When you enter that point of indifference, that's when you really have to worry about it. But, you know, people are talking about it. Thankfully, right now, mostly positive. It may not always be that way, but we've really started to enter the cadence where we can start to deliver more and deliver on the things that the community is looking for. And I think if you can check both of those boxes, the sentiment will only continue to grow.
Oh man.
So you brought up Ben, and I know he's from on the VeVe realm, but he's from Binance, and I imagine that because of that, and he's kind of a blockchain expert, and what was your first impression of him at first meeting, and how has your opinion of him changed?
I think he's an incredibly calming influence. So like I had mentioned kind of a few minutes ago, I think that you know, obviously I've read up on him. I've done my research on kind of his experience and background, and obviously he brings a very unique perspective as so far as Web3 comes, right? He's very connected in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. You know, having worked in Binance and has also done other things with blockchain Australia and other jobs as well. I think that he's an absolutely fantastic value add to the company. I think that they did a great job finding him, and I think it was, you know, it might have been a happenstance. You know, David did an interview with Ben last year, which you can actually find on YouTube. Doesn't have that many views, but Binance Australia did an interview with David, and so this relationship has been cultivated for quite a while. Like, this wasn't something that they decided last week, hey, we should probably bring in a new, you know, co-CEO. Like, this has been something that they've been working on in the background for quite a while, from my understanding. Now, of course, I may get more access than you, but I don't get access like some of the people in the company get access. So I don't know specifically how long, but this has certainly been something that they've been working towards for quite a while. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. I think he's taking a very methodical approach to how he addresses things, and I think he's really trying to understand all of the facets of the different companies, and you know, he's not coming in saying, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to change this. He's going, explain to me what you do, right? Like, can you give me more information about this? You know, and then you explain something to him. Oh, okay. And you can see he's listening. He's not just hearing you, waiting to say the thing he wants to say. He's listening to you. He's processing. He's writing things down. Okay, interesting. Okay, great. Okay, can you tell me more about? And then he'll ask like a really smart question. He'll be like, oh wow, like you were actually paying attention to me, right? Like, I'm not just giving you lip service. You care about what I have to say. I'm not just a subordinate to you. You genuinely value my feedback. So yeah, it's been great. I've worked with him a bit, not a ton. Obviously, he's very busy. He's learning about all the different departments and everything like that. But during the interactions that I have had with him, you know, OMI does feel like it's a priority for him. I can confirm firsthand through interactions that I've had. It's a priority for David as well. So two halves equal a whole, and so if both hands are moving in the right direction and we're taking steps forward, like, as long as we can continue in that direction, like I foresee no reason why it doesn't, you know, produce, you know, dividends long term. So, you know, I look forward to seeing, you know, some of the changes he might make. He might shake some things up, but I know that, you know, the overarching, you know, priorities moving forward is, you know, onboarding new users, you know, through various routes, whether it be from marketing and just making it in general more accessible to utilize the platform, and likewise with OMI, you know, getting some marketing and awareness done for the token. But even just little things, like, I always tell people, like, it's the things that you do that seem like the least sexy on the front end that make the biggest difference in the back end. So, like, when we moved to Base, people were like, yeah, but it's not a Coinbase listing. Like, who cares? Right? And it's like, well, because it's literally the foundation that everything is going to be built on moving forward. That's why it matters. And then, you know, we removed the vault and reserve wallet, the non-circulating tokens. And people go, yeah, but they weren't even burnt from the circulating supply. Who cares? And it's like, yeah, but no one is able to accurately track the token right now, and CoinMarketCap will not be able to integrate and properly report on the token, which also means that any exchanges we're trying to get list on won't interpret or understand the token correctly. So when they go to research it, they're going to realize that it's completely inaccurate and want nothing to do with us. So it's like all these little things, like these moves that you make that end up leading to the bigger moves. Like they're a success and they're worth celebrating. Now they might not be worth celebrating for the same reasons that you want to be excited about it, which is fine. But like there's a means to an end. Like there's a reason that these moves are being made. There's a reason that things are done in the order that they are, and it may not always be the most ideal order. It may not be the order that we even want to do them in. But it's just, hey, this is the cards that we've been dealt. How can we make the most about it, and how can we continue to put our best foot forward? And progress by building out, the best project and best utility for the token that we can.
I don't think people realize how much alpha you just dropped there. Just,
I didn't hear any alpha.
All right. Okay. Okay.
I don't drop alpha. I just inform and
but there's crumbles. There's crumbles that were laid there, and like that's the thing that I think if people are paying attention, right, as to like why things have been slow. And one of the reasons that I said, listen, I'm not going to pressure the OMI team or have an expectation of them talking more openly about the token until things like OMIto NFT come about. I think that there is a reason why the OMI team is clearing out some of these things, clearing out the vault or the reserve wallet, right? Like clearing out these things and making the tokenomics and these supply numbers more clear, right? So that when other exchanges are looking at that, they have a better understanding of what's actually happening with the token, where it's at. It's very important for exchanges. Just repeating what Foster said in a different way. I'm just repeating it in a different way. That's all I'm saying.
You're repeating things in the way you wanted to hear them, and I'm sure you'll feel the same in 2 weeks with the other comment you made earlier.
So 2 weeks from now.
You just make up some things, so that's fine.
Yes, some dots got connected tonight. I'm just gonna put it that way. But like, look, again, it's just exciting. One of the most exciting things for me about VeVe and OMI, like, man, I've been in so many freaking projects that I've truly been incredibly bullish on. I'm like, if they can pull this off, like, wow, the impact that this could have, right? A lot of them are gone now. It didn't pan out, and that's part of it. Like in this space, like it's tough to make it, and it's tough to, like, there's some brilliant ideas and true substantial use cases behind the blockchain and why that could be used there. But I'm just seeing what VeVe is building, and I'm just so bullish long term. Like, my belief is that VeVe and OMI will be here in a decade. And I can't say that for like 98% of the token. Now with all the meme coins, 99.9% of the tokens out there are not going to be like around in 10 years, right? And that's so incredible to me to think about. Like that like VeVe could be here in 10 years, right? I'm just so bullish on where this is all leading, and it'll be interesting as technology continues to increase, as we're seeing, because this is one of the topics, Randy, that we were going to talk about a little bit, and we haven't even hit, was Meta's AR glasses, right? Those are pretty phenomenal. Like, so Dr. P, he is heavy into AR and VR, right? Like, he's got every single version of all of the glasses and everything. Like, he's literally got, and it's like multiples of each one. Like, I don't know if he's just like, I don't want to go upstairs to get one, so I'm gonna have one upstairs and downstairs and in the basement and in the garden. Like, I don't know, right? But like, he's got multiples of all of them. And one of the things, like, I've done the Apple Vision Pro. Shout out to Sanjay for talking me into doing like the testing there at Apple. It's phenomenal. But what they said is it's too heavy, like to use it for extended periods of time, right? But you get something like these glasses that they're constantly improving the way that, like, to wear them. And that's basically like what Zuckerberg talked about, was like getting it so that it's just like glasses, and like you can wear them all day and you're going to be able to do all these things. It has to be able to do that. You can't have like a battery pack attached. It's not going to be adopted by the masses, right? Like they've got to do this, and we're seeing these meta glasses coming out that are this next step in the evolution of this product, right? And basically, they're like, these glasses are the next iPhone. Like this is what it's going to be, where everyone kind of converts to, now we don't use phones, we just use glasses because we can do everything. We can literally dial the number with our eyes, or we can even just say, call this person, or call this number, and it's all talked to that way, and it's all there. Like that's coming. And one of the things that I'm really excited about that VeVe's talked about in the past, and it's kind of gone by the wayside, but geolocation, right? Being able to pin your collectibles and to have a shared experience at some point where it's like, hey, join my VeVe app. This is way down the line, but like I can envision a world in which it's like, join my VeVe app. I'm joining. I can see your vault and I can see everything that you've pinned, right? So as I walk through your house, I can see your collectibles and where you've stashed them, how you've stashed them. The VeVe, the Vaultaholics, like some of the crazy ways that they'd be able to use their collectibles to set things up in their house. Like that shared experience, it brings like things to the next level, right? Like, I don't know. So I'm so bullish on that, but just in this space in general, all of the use cases for collectibles, and the fact that my kids, even right now, just on the app, absolutely love to engage with the collectibles. My son loves the Hulk smash. I mean, I don't even know how many videos of Hulk smashing my son because he thinks it's so funny to watch. Like,
That's
it's so rad because Hulk will smash it,
Yeah.
and then he like waits a second and then he falls like the wrong way. It doesn't look good at all, and he's just giggling and loves it. So, anyways, I just love what you guys are building. Super bullish on this. If you can't tell,
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's fun to be in kind of a position where you've front run the masses when it comes to being ahead of the curve in technology, and I think that's one of the cool thing about VeVe Digital Collectibles is like, to an extent, they're ahead of their time when it comes to things like AR and being able to display your one of one artist proofs on your wall at your house, and anyone that comes in that has the platform can see those collectibles, as an example, right? So we may be the better part of a decade away from that technology being feasible for the masses, but when Amazon started as a bookstore out of Jeff Bezos's garage, it didn't look like what Amazon looks like today, right? And so when VeVe started selling digital collectibles at the end of 2020, it's not going to look like the same platform that it does in 5 or 10 years or even beyond that. But I think what you hit on earlier, Doc, which is a great point, is like, it's still going to be here. And that's one of the best things that I've learned or come out of from this is like, VeVe is a real world business building for real world implications long term, and it's not a fly by night kind of thing, hit and quit and be on to the next thing. It's like they're building for things that haven't even existed, and not every idea is a home run, right? And of course they make mistakes along the way, as we all do, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see how, now that just the concept of augmented and virtual reality is becoming somewhat more mainstream. I mean, when you have companies like Meta and Apple, competing to develop these glasses to have them mass adopted, you start to realize that a company like VeVe has positioned themselves very strongly because, like you said, there have been competitors that have come and gone that just simply aren't here anymore to present that, and there aren't. There's some platforms that have done it themselves. There's some platforms that exist that I think probably will be successful long term, but aren't kind of in the same premium digital collectible niche that VeVe finds itself in the digital collectible space. But I think there's going to be room for everyone. I think Ben Rose said it best. I think the collectibles industry is like $600 billion or something, right? And so when you think about the incredibly small subset of people that have even identified digital collecting as an option, let alone found VeVe within that and then have taken the plunge, is like, it may not happen overnight. Well, it hasn't happened overnight, right? VeVe's been around for the better part of 4 years now, and we have a user base. We have people that are familiar with it. We have people that are familiar with OMI, but long term, it's going to take some of these kind of external catalysts to come in And that is the technology as a whole developing, and VeVe being able to be at the forefront when those opportunities present themselves to take full advantage, right? Like I would, and once again, zero knowledge, zero alpha. I have absolutely no idea what VeVe's plans are. But in 3 years, if Apple develops a new headset that's fantastic, and they want to have an augmented or virtual reality platform or metaverse to integrate, maybe VeVe's in that perfect position, right? As a digital collectibles platform at that time. Now, I can't see the future, but I can hope, based on everything that I've seen so far, in the direction that I hope things move in the future, like it's not an overnight thing. And I think a lot of us came into it thinking that it might be an overnight thing, and we've kind of learned to adapt to that over time. But I think now that we have learned and we do understand it, and for those people that are in the chat now that get that, the future is a very exciting proposition for what digital collecting can look like. I mean, we're running out of land on this planet, which means we're also running out of places to store things, right? And so what's the next logical iteration is having something digital. But how do you make something digital tangible? Well, you need to make it accessible, you need to have utility, and you need to have ease of use. Well, what are the 3 things that we're focusing on, right? So like when you align third-party companies and software with those things, and then you have something that has all of those things, then it just becomes a natural progression. So, will we ever get to that point? I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know, but I know that VeVe appears, at least from what I've observed, to be doing absolutely everything they can to prime, or be in prime position, I should say, for what that future may look like. And if Apple and Meta and Google and all of these massive companies are completely wrong about AR and VR tech, then hey, maybe VeVe's wrong too, right? But they must have done something to hit multi-trillion-dollar market caps as a collective. And I'd like to think that they have some of the most brilliant minds in the world working for them that understand the future of technology as a whole. And there's a reason that they're all competing for this very, what is that current niche technology. And competition breeds innovation. And I'm very excited to see what that will look like as time goes on.
Zuck's a beast, man. He says that glasses will outperform or at least outpace cell phones by 2030. That's not like,
which is a wild statement. Yeah, that's a wild statement.
That's 5.5 years away.
Wow.
So even if he's wrong, even if it takes a decade, okay, like this is we have a lot of stuff to look forward to. And again, like he's not the only one that's aiming to do that. I mean, you don't change your name, you don't change your company name from Facebook to Meta unless you have something really big planned. Like you're not, what is he spending, 25 billion a year right now on the metaverse and all that? He's not doing that just for like a 2x return.
Well, and it's not like Facebook was a particularly small company to begin with, and then they just decided to rebrand for fun, right? Like that was a very, very big risk. But he's used to taking those risks because he's also been ahead of the curve and he understands identifying those trends in the way that the world works. And it's going to be fun to see where that goes. But I appreciate you guys having me on. I just realized it's like 11 o'clock at night and I've literally been talking since 7 o'clock, either in meetings or on spaces, and my throat is... I'm if you guys have one last question or anything, I'm happy to, because shout out to the fam for flying the flag and hanging out with us tonight. I don't want to just kind of ditch you guys, but I ran out of water an hour ago and I'm struggling here.
So let's wrap it up, because Foster, I want to talk to you a little bit about NYCC here. So Sam, we're gonna wrap things up. Randy, any final words?
Will you slow dance with me in New York Comic Con?
I will be your date, sir.
Okay, there you have it.
Let's get this, Brad.
I will be the cameraman. I will be the
hey now.
So, okay, hey, with that, fam, look, for whatever reason, I don't think that we did a good enough job. We did a disservice to the Gold Dragon Club. We saw no OMI bids, so we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to pump it up a little bit more and make more people aware of it for next week, so that we can do that giveaway there. But shout out to all of the fam that were here. We appreciate you, and like props to you guys for sticking through, right? And just focusing on enjoying the collectibles here, guys, and the experience in the community. If you can make it to New York Comic Con, I am hearing from everywhere that this is going to be epic. So I'm going to be there. I've got my gold tickets, multiple. So I'm going to be bringing like a guest potentially, and even some red tickets. So, anyways, really excited to be there. Please come out if you can, and we'll see you guys next week on Homie's My Homie. Peace out, fam.
Bye, everybody. Woof. Meow.